Unboxing Live, yeah, the place to be. Mike's Unboxing Live, come and see. Let's turn the good vibes up and press the play. Make this the perfect start to an awesome day. So welcome to the stream, yeah, the show's begun. Come and join the fun for everyone. It's Mike's Unboxing Live, yeah, the place to be. Mike's Unboxing Live, come and see. Let's turn the good vibes up and press the play. Make this the perfect start to an awesome day. So welcome to the stream, yeah, the show's begun. Come and join the fun for everyone. It's Mike's Unboxing Live, yeah, the place to be. Mike's Unboxing Live, come and see. Let's turn the good vibes up and press the play. Make this the perfect start to an awesome day. So welcome to the stream.
And good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are in the world. Hopefully you can hear me and see me. It's Mike here, Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. It is Saturday, the 11th of April, 2026. The time is approximately 8:15 and this is the live stream. Welcome, one and all. Hopefully you can hear me. Someone's going to let me know, I'm sure of it. Yes, looks like we're good. Yep, it's all good. You can see and hear me. Excellent. Let's make sure the overhead is working. It should be. Yep, that looks absolutely fine to me. Stream desktop more than likely will work. Who cares? It'll be fine. So, good evening and welcome to this somewhat stormy Saturday evening here in the southwest of the United Kingdom. The sky is looking pretty bloody strange. It's been super windy for the last couple of days and yeah, there's something definitely changing. We've had some rather wonderful days this week where it's been very, very warm indeed and the sun has been shining. There's been perfectly blue skies with minimal wind for at least 2 days this week. So that is summer officially done, possibly. But yeah, it's a very, very strange week in terms of weather. And in fact, I think we had a high of somewhere around about 24 degrees somewhere in the country this week. Yet on Thursday, there was actually snow falling in Manchester. After a couple of days of being in the sort of upper teens, low 20s. Very, very strange weather indeed. Hopefully it's good where you are at the moment. And in fact, as I always forget, please let me know in the chat where you're actually watching and also the temperature at the moment. I know that David Untrill would have already got in with that at the moment, and no doubt being that he is in Queensland, I think it's Queensland. It's probably in the 20s there, I would imagine. Did he say? He normally comes in early doors. Let's have a look in the chat.
Mid-30s.
Oh no. Oh, mid-30s. It's about 8 degrees here currently. Where are you all from? Sunrab's in Hull. Spelt with a U, not an E. 9 degrees. Model System gets popcorn ready for 7600 XT comments. Yes, it's a strange time to be a computer enthusiast or a computer builder at the moment. As most of you probably know already, so I won't bore you to tears with the goings on, but it's very, very strange trying to buy stuff at the moment. And I'm actually trying not to, if I can possibly help it. Because you just don't know what's around the corner. Yes, Gaff? Des, hi Des. He just said hi. That's all I can see.
Does anyone know?
Oh, what Ethernet cable from Gigabit optical network terminal to the router as my daughter's jaw. What Ethernet cable from Gigabit optical network terminal to the router? I would imagine a Cat5e would be fine if it's just Gigabit. In fact, Cat5e will do up to kind of, well, 2.5 gig easily. Our home network here, we originally wired up most of the network in this house the best part of nearly 20 years ago. And that was using Cat5e, which was at the time like pretty damn good. 20 years later, most of it is still working and it is still transmitting at 2.5 gigabit speeds through our 2.5 gigabit Ethernet switches. So yeah, Cat5e should be fine. If you can get Cat6, that'd be great. No need really for Cat7 on that. It's really... I'm assuming it's just RJ45 to RJ45, just a normal Ethernet cable, really. Raleigh's 9 degrees in South Devon. Hiya, Raleigh. Dom says it's cold, nasty wind, and spring is still not in Northern Ireland. Such a shame. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's 55% humidity. It says it's 23.2 degrees in here, but it's not. That's how windy it is. There's things literally falling off the shelves, albeit because Otis is trying to get out the window.
But not going.
He's a bad, bad monkey. CMCB says my 15 meters of Cat5e is doing 10 gigabit. Nice. Model Citizen says it's windy in Dorset, my lover. Alright, my babs. Skystalker says I got my cheap DDR5. One of the sticks was bad. RMA time. Darn it. Memory prices. For those of you that are keeping an eye on memory prices do appear to be falling. And falling quicker in the used market than the new market, which is somewhat understandable. A lot of retailers are probably not quite ready yet to release their talons from your wallets or from your chip-in-pin devices. Used prices seem to be getting better, which is great after last week when I bought the Juhor DDR5 kit of RAM, which I'm still a little bit bitter about. But hey ho, some you win, some you win less, some you potentially lose. It's not the end of the world, is it really? There's a lot worse things going on in the world, so me overspending on RAM isn't the end of it. But it does seem to be getting better. Today, just looking on our Discord in the eBay bot room, there was a set of DDR5 6000 RAM, which went for £178, which is a lot better than it was. That would have normally been sort of in the 250s, maybe even as far as £300. So to be under the £200 mark is definitely, I feel, a step in the right direction. Of course, we don't have quite the enthusiasm, the enthusiasm in the market at the moment, so there are less people buying, therefore less people bidding, which potentially, if you are looking at purchasing, may make things even better for you because there's less competition in the market, because there's less interest. So those of us that have kind of stuck with it, rightly or wrongly, might be reaping the benefits, or at least starting to reap the benefits. Let's certainly hope so. David Andrew says RAM prices still haven't dropped here in Sculperland. 64 gig kits, 1,200 Aussie dollars. They were $500 in November. Yeah, I'm not saying the prices are getting great. They're still pretty awful, but comparatively they're better, which is a step in the right direction. Plastic Star says it's 82 here in Southwest Florida. Very nice. I do like Florida. I was going to say we like Florida, but I don't know how Kath feels about Florida personally. What do you think about Florida, Kath?
Very humid, lots of fleas.
Very humid and lots of fleas.
That's all I know about it, really.
Yep. That's all we'll say on that matter. I've always liked Florida. And obviously, growing up, being in the UK, watching American TV shows, such as the legendary Miami Vice, which obviously is a stone's throw away.
I don't know if they do have lots of fleas, but it's the right climate.
It's the
for lots
yeah,
of fleas.
I understand. And also watching other programs such as the formidable A-Team, Knight Rider, and various other televisual feasts from the 80s, you do get a certain perception about those American places. Clearly they're not all as they would have been in the movies and on the TV, but certainly it does always look nicer, warmer, even when it's raining and there's storms in Florida or in the US in general. It just seems that it's just a sunnier, brighter place. I don't know. Is it or isn't it? Let me know. Skystalker says, I must admit, when I think of Florida, I don't think of fleas. Maybe alligators. Yeah, gators. Gators. Gators scare me. I'm actually genuinely afraid of alligators, which I think is a sensible human response, because they are basically indestructible killing machines, unless you've got like a 12 gauge or something, or like a 50 cal, or just some like a desert eagle or something. That would soon put them in their places, I think. Anyway, Senram says the fleas are from tourists. Like, I can't really comment much further on that one. Firestorm says snapping turtles, I think of. Not Teenage Mutant Ninja ones then. Dutch Jan says the way things are going now, I don't need to go to America. Yeah, there is that to it. There is an air of uncertainty in the air at the moment, especially if you're in the United States, I think. Although saying that, it's pretty much anywhere. If you live anywhere in the world at the moment, I don't think there's many places which escape the grasp of what is actually going on, especially when it comes to things like fuel prices, energy prices. I think it's all of it spills over, even from like the Ukraine situation. That was what really kind of kicked off the energy crisis more recently. And that's been, what, 5 years now? Is it 5 years, Ukraine? Might be that. I don't know. It seems to have just gone on and on. Wars. Huh. What is it good for? Absolutely nobody. Anyway. Phil says, on my trip to Florida, I saw lots of armadillos. What's an armadillo?
Oh, that's that thing in 64 Zoo Lane that turned into a ball. Remember?
No.
They're like these little...
Oh, they roll up, yeah, like an anteater, but with armour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Senram says, Mike, was that a song hint? Yes, very slightly. In war, there are no winners. Well, there are, but unfortunately, they are the banking cartels of the world. They seem to always make enough money out of it all. Gunnar is asking, anyone know, what does Gunnar mean? I've seen this phrase bandied around on the internet. I don't understand what it means. What's a Gunnar? A Gunnar used to be someone who's followed Arsenal, I think. But clearly the definition has changed somewhat. Gunnar is asking, anyone know if you can use an NZXT X62 AIO cooler with AM5 just by getting bracket? I don't think... Well, the NZXT X62 works with AM4, so it should just clip onto an AM5 because it's the same procedure, as far as I'm aware. You may need to remove the plastic AM4 brackets, but you still use the back plate as you would in AM5. Arsenal fan, lol. It is, yeah, Arsenal. Gunners used to be... If you were a Gunner, that meant you were a fan of Arsenal football team.
Gunners.
They used to be the Gunners, but I think they also called it the Gooners.
But have you seen Sky Stalker, right?
Sky, a gentleman that plays with his willy. Ah, a Gooner. So like the more traditional word of the begins with a W, and sounds like something which would make a ship come to a stop in the sea. Gooner says, I'm a member. A member of what?
Probably.
The Gooner Club? Or a YouTube member? If you're a YouTube member, if you're No, if you're a YouTube member, you should have a coloured thing on your name. Model Citizen said MSI sold a lot of Tomahawks recently. I'll get my coat. Oh dear. David Underhill says useless trivia. We like useless trivia. If you want to know some useless trivia, I can give you useless trivia. I have multiple useless ones.
Trivial.
All right. Oh, he's 22 years an Arsenal member of the club. He lives in walking distance. Get it.
What about Accrington Stanley?
Oh, he says walking distance, not gooning distance. Accrington Stanley? Who are they? Is my screen gone funny again?
Wasn't that the milk advert?
Might have been. Yeah, it was, yeah. Arsenal has an old-fashioned gun in its logo, hence the nickname. I think it's a... Isn't it a cannon? Isn't it a cannon in the Arsenal logo?
Go back on with your trivial.
Alejandro, hi Mike and Kath. How is this night presenting for the family? Have a good one. It's looking pretty good so far. Where was the trivia? Let's go with the trivia. I love trivia. Trivia's awesome.
You were going to tell us something.
Oh no, I was David Underhill's one. Useless trivia. Barrett Firearms, makers of 50 cal sniper rifles, is owned by a Queensland-based company. Excellent stuff. And that is where David lives, I believe, Queensland, which I think I said already. I didn't see his answer.
He did say.
He did he?
Yeah.
Okay. Gunnar says yes, it's a cannon. Sam Rabb says yes, I meant cannon. Okay. Yes, it's a cannon, definitely. Useless trivia about cannons. Do you know where the phrase freezing my balls off comes from? I've potentially given it away somewhat, but some of you may know it anyway. But I always thought this was a fantastic trivial fact which involves guns or cannons and physics and pirates, possibly. It's good. Yeah, the Growbag 84 knows what it is. Cannonballs freezing on old ships. Yes, essentially, in the old days, cannonballs would be on a ship, and the ships kind of move around as they tend to in the water. So obviously, if you had a stack of cannonballs, they would roll around. So they built a thing which was basically a triangle made of brass, and they'd put the triangle on the deck, and they would stack the balls in it, and they had a nickname for the triangle called a monkey. So, because it was made of brass, when the sailors would go into colder waters, possibly even freezing, or close to freezing, the brass would then contract, and therefore the stack of balls on top of the monkey would roll off away. Therefore, you get the phrase, freezing the balls off a brass monkey. There you go. You have learnt a thing tonight. Feel free to reiterate that when you're either trying to lose friends or trying to get people to leave your house. It works really well. Or lose viewers. So there is a trivia for you. I like that one. I really like that one. I think that's a great one. Where phrases come from due to kind of things that actually happened. Brasher says, I knew that one. Yeah, I probably told you before. I've probably used that one more times in live streams than I've used anything else. It's a great one. I love it. Yeah. Everyone's on Google, don't they? Why is this? It's a thing. O'Reilly says, next time I visit, don't speak trivia to me. I will do my best not to. So, moving on with trivia. We will be going through the trivial task of building an actual PC on tonight's stream, which in itself has some level of irony because only 2 or 3 weeks ago we did a stream saying possibly my last build for a while, and I thought it was. But this might supersede it as being one of the last ones. I am very, very, very low on stock at the moment. Basically, I've got a few bits and pieces, but there's very, very little. The loft has one case left in it, the Series 500.
Shouldn't be any up there anyway.
Which shouldn't really be up there, but it is up there. I've got a LAN Cool 3, which I don't have a box for, which is really unfortunate. And it's just a big case. I really don't like lifting it because it's like, well, it's almost the same weight as a bag of cement when it's empty. So it's not exactly friendly for moving around.
Aren't they paper bags there?
What's that?
Cement.
Yeah.
So when it's empty, doesn't it not weigh anything? Really?
No, it's really heavy.
What, the empty bag of cement?
No, when the bags are full of cement, they're heavy.
You said it was the same as an empty bag.
Did I say empty?
I think so.
If I said an empty bag, I lied. A full bag, a big bag of cement. It's basically like lugging a bag of cement.
When it was empty, you said.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Yeah, moving on. What was I going to say? Completely lost my track there.
What WDM.2 is that?
It's not. This is something which I actually have to discuss as part of this goes on. Yeah, cases wise, all I've got is there's a secret case in the hallway, which I can't discuss yet. That will be going out on the video will be going out on April the 30th. Very exciting new case, which I'm not allowed to talk about, but it's very exciting and I do like it very much. And yeah, the one that we're using tonight. That is all the cases I have at the moment. It's looking very, very slim pickings. Yeah, back to the drive. So this is a WD Black. In the video description, the listing, I actually did say I was going to use a different drive. So I do have a WD Blue, which is the SN580 2TB. I am very much... I'm looking at options for this PC build. So these are the two options really that I've got, essentially. Do I go for a arguably faster 1TB or a slower 2TB and then try and jack the price up because M.2 drives are ridiculously expensive? Or do I go with the 1TB, which I actually picked up cheaper so I can sell cheaper to bring the overall cost of the PC down? This is one of those very traumatic decisions because this PC is a little bit of an oddball. So it's going to have quite a nice case. It's going to have a very nice power supply. It's going to have a really nice motherboard. It's going to have a decent processor. It's going to have a slightly underpowered graphics card, if I'm honest. It could do with having something a little bit beefier in it, but I think overall, well, I'm really unsure what to do. The graphics card has to kind of be what it is because that is pretty much the only option I've got at the moment. I've got here on hand, which I can feasibly depart with. So do I do the smaller drive or do I do the larger drive? Now, there are pros and cons of these as well. Is the WD drive I bought used, but it's got very, very low usage, but very high power on time. There was a bunch of these drives, about 10 to 12 of them, that Dave Aiken actually purchased and put into some systems that he was doing some project for. So it was a project where it's basically like a big display and there was like 10 or 15 PCs, all with 4090s, just basically running a visual display. So the PC booted up and it was just left. All the work was done by the graphics card, so the drive was just left on. So in terms of it was left on for about a year. So the actual power on time is something like 12,000 hours or something along those lines. I don't know what it was. It's something quite brutal. So the drive would appear to have lots of use in it, but realistically the power on cycles are very minimal, like 10 or something. So it was just turned on and kind of left to its own devices. So effectively I'm treating these drives as basically new. But that is something that some people might be a bit concerned if they go into hardware info, which gets me onto another story, or any of those other programs, and they look at the drive and say, well, it's supposed to be new, but it's got all these hours of usage on it. Then you've got to go through and explain it, which, yeah, it's just a kerfuffle. Essentially, this drive, I think, cost me about £50, and it's probably worth nowadays getting on for 100. So whatever. This one cost me £89, because I bought it at a very good time, and these currently sell for somewhere around about the 160 to 180 mark. So obviously, depending on which one I use, I do have to take that into consideration for the overall price. You can't price a PC too high if you've got a certain level of graphics card or a certain level of processor, etc, etc. It makes the whole build a little bit uneven. So I don't know. I think the 1 terabyte would be the way. Hey Lead Farmer, how you doing? Yeah, semi-new. The terabytes written is basically like 0 pretty much. I think all I've ever used this for is I did a quick install of Windows 11 on it for a test just to make sure the drive is fine, and that was it. So it's got extremely low usage on it, but it's got hours on it, which for an SSD isn't really a problem because hours power on time isn't a problem, but I don't want it to be a potential problem if they come back and say, look, this drive's got 1 million miles on it. It hasn't, but you know what I mean. So yeah, that is something which I do have to take into consideration. Tony says, I have to go.
Hello,
Got a gig. It's doing an hour. Just popped in to say hello. Be good, everyone. Love you all. Thanks, Tony. Semrab, will the motherboard be capable of handling the high speed? Yes. The Western Digital Black is a PCI Express Gen 4 drive, I believe. I've never actually checked, so I've never even contemplated. I'm sure it's a Gen 4. It doesn't actually say. Someone let me know in the comments. Is this a Gen 4 drive? Oh yeah, it is, yeah. PCIe Gen 4. It's in grey writing on a black background. It's very hard to see. So yeah, PCI Express Gen 4, so yeah, it's going to be absolutely fine. Either one will be fine. Sky says, most people won't look at the drive information if you're willing to support it for 6 months, no problem. I generally don't support the PCs. So that is something which I make quite clear to people when they purchase the PC. I do say to them, look, this PC is, you're buying this as a used computer, as basically a private sale, and treat it as such. There is no warranty given or implied. If there's any manufacturer's warranties still remaining on the products, you are more than welcome to chase up the manufacturers. I potentially can help on your behalf, should I need to. But realistically, there is no warranty because you could damage it on the way home in your car. I have got no protection against that. I can't afford to protect against that, so I don't. But what I do offer them is free labour. So if they do wish to have an upgrade or they're experiencing problems, I will look at the computer free of charge and potentially make a video on it. And then if there's anything which needs addressing, we can work that out when it comes to it, which I think is fair enough. Technically, we are a business, but we sell the PCs really not as a business, more of a private thing. But yeah, we'll see.
That's Jan.
That's Jan. What is the most current? What is actually the most currently used M.2? I honestly don't know. I would imagine it's probably a Western Digital drive. It depends really. If you look at popular for gaming, it'll probably be a WD. But then Samsung's probably as well, because Samsung do sell a lot. It could even be something like a little bit more cost effective, like maybe one of the Kingston NV2 or NV3.
Not that.
Honestly don't know. Not sure.
David.
Aletta says, here in the US, we only have to mark a cell as is. Yeah, that's pretty much what I say. Greg says, WD is now SanDisk. Crucial was always my go-to. Cheapo. Yeah, I used to always like Crucial drives. It's just a shame what's happened there. Matthew Day says there are fast and slow Gen 3 and there are fast and slow Gen 4. Very much. Yes. Dom says, I'd say Samsung, even if they are more expensive, people seem to like it. Yes, I believe that. I would say that Samsung probably are the market leaders, certainly. I don't know whether they are by volume. Maybe they are. Alejandro says, I don't even know what NVMe M.2 brands I have. Don't care neither. David Under says Silicon Power is my current go-to M.2. Silicon Power used to be my go-to brand for quite a long time, but it seems that their pricing in the UK has gotten very, very out of whack, especially with the arrival of a lot of the kind of off-brand Chinese things like your Ficwatts and Fanxiang, whatever it is, Fanchang or whatever it was. There was quite a few brands that were about which seem to be competing on both warranty, performance, and ultimately on price as well. That's right, Lead Farmer. Yeah, Fanxiang. Fanxiang. X is pronounced S, isn't it, for Chinese stuff generally? Fanxiang. Don't know. Like Xiaomi. I don't know. Anyway, so that is some of the decisions I need to make in terms of cooling. Going with the Thermaltake TH360 V2 ARGB Sync Snow Edition for the reason that it matches the case really nicely. So that'll be good. Yeah, ASUS motherboard. The graphics card is still under here where it has been for too long, really. This is the Radeon RX 6700 XT OC Edition, I think. Gaming OC, sorry. My mistake. Nice card, very well made, nice solid backplate. And actually, even though it's been under the table, it just feels freezing cold to the touch. So cooling, I think, is going to be excellent. 3 fans as well, which is preferable over 2. More real estate for fans, air passing through, and obviously more real estate for the actual fin stack as well, which is great. All things like that, which we like a lot. And also, being a Gigabyte model, it's got the preferable 2 HDMI outputs and 2 display outputs, or display port outputs, I should say, rather. Sadly, it doesn't appear to have a dual BIOS switch or a fast or slow mode built in, which is a little bit of a shame, but it's a 7600 XT. You wouldn't really want to put it in slow mode, would you? Or quiet mode. There was no point. So, graphics, I have that card, the RG Strix variant. I like the 12 GB it has. Well, this is actually a 16 gig. I'm sure. I think. Yeah, I think this is a 16 gig. Please tell me this is a 16 gig. I think I looked at this last week, but I don't recall what I actually saw. Let's get the magnifying glass of truth. Yeah, 16 gig. So the full model number is GV-R76XT Gaming OC-16GD Rev 1. That is what we're working with, ladies and gents. Thank you, Alejandro, for the $1.99. Much appreciated. No message, just a super sticker. Thank you very much. What's that saying there? Unboxing. I see it. Good stuff. Excellent. Right then. I think we should get started because time is getting on. Although, I haven't really got to be anywhere. Let me know in the comments. Quickly do it. Just put 1 or 2 in terms of 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte, and I will take your overall consensus as being what we do. Personally, I think I'm erring more towards the 1 terabyte, but let me know in the comments. I'll give you a couple of seconds to do that. I'll go and grab the case from the other room, and by the time I get back, we should have some information, or some, what's the word I'm looking for? Some consensus. Which box is it? Oh, that one. Hey Dave, how you doing? I'm trying to be careful because I've got that trapped nerve in my shoulder again. It's driving me insane. I've trapped a nerve in my shoulder. I keep on doing it. And the nerve is trapped somewhere in between, like where it goes through from your back in through your arm. And when I trap it, sometimes I get pain at the top, but if it gets worse, the pain kind of travels down my arm into my upper arm, into my elbow. And then if it gets really bad, it goes into like my wrist area and forearm. And if it gets really bad, I've trapped it really badly, my fingers start going tingly. So I've got to be a bit careful, and if you see me doing this, you'll know I'm just trying to kind of make the nerve shift position a little bit. It's my own fault, because when I sleep at night, I sleep in a really weird position with my kind of arm under a pillow and wrapped around, then my head on top of it. And I seem to be kind of moving, and I wake up in the night and my arm is like kind of above my head almost. So I must be gradually kind of pulling my arm out of its socket, or just getting in a weird position. Sometimes I can press here and I can feel it.
I'm pulling the duvet up with just the cover, so there's
Oh yeah,
nothing in
and
it.
pulling the duvet up when it's freezing cold.
With just the cover and not the duvet itself, so it's all empty at the top.
Mark says naproxen and physio. Physio, I wouldn't mind. I'm not keen on painkillers and stuff like that. I know they help, but for me, I'd end up getting hooked on them or something or whatever. Because I don't like being in pain. No one does, do they really? But it's Viali says, I have something like that, similar mic. I think mine is rotator cuff. They thought trapped nerve is first. Yeah, it could be rotator cuff. I do find there's actually, going off onto the medical side of things, if I get my hand, if I do feel like that top bit there, on this side, it feels normal, but on this side, it feels like there's like a gap, a little bit of a gap, only a tiny one, but a little bit of a gap. So it feels like my shoulder, my arm socket may have dropped a little bit or something. I don't know. It's hard to explain. But yeah, if it is that cuff, yeah, whatever. Gin and tonics, then you don't feel the pain. Alexa says, I know what you mean, Mike. I have neck problems that make my arm go numb. I can't play bass anymore because touching the strings feels like my fingers are getting shocked. Oof. Not nice. Yeah. So yeah, I think a lot of it as well, because I spent a lot of time just sat down at a keyboard, and I got a feeling it's because of where my computer desk, I've got one of those like trays that pull out for the keyboard. I don't think the keyboard is quite at the right height for my frame, or I'm not sitting high enough and not supporting my arms, so I'm kind of like slouching down and my arms are kind of slew like this, and I'm sure it's not good for me. So I think a lot of it's to do with posture. My desk is awful. I can't put my feet under my desk, so I can't kind of get that right position, so I'm kind of in a weird thing. It's, yeah, whatever. Shit happens. Because there's a desk there. You haven't got yours under either.
But I can pull this like further, so I am under it.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, what should we do first? Let's get the PC put together. I'm going to put the other light on it because it's going to get a little bit darker. And hopefully you will be able to see still. Good stuff. Pain. I was actually going to say I might not do the stream if it gets too bad, but I thought, well, if I do it, I'm moving around, it should get better. So let's see, what are people saying about the drives? So I'm seeing quite a lot of 1s and 2s. So Gled Farmer said it was 16 gig, thank you. Matthew Day says there's a white 3070 on GPU use for £224. That might be just the ticket, actually. So Riley says 2, Computer Geek says 2, Mark Berry says 1, Dutch Jan says 1, Paul Lamont says 2, Sky says 1, Jason says 2, Letta says 2, David says 128 gig hard drive, Ashley Strachan 1 terabyte, Mark Gaines 1 terabyte. Firestorm 1 terabyte. Sky split decision. Gooner says 2, if not for yourself to keep. Fair enough. Matthew Day says 1 and a 2 hard disk drive. Yeah, I didn't actually think about that. That is potential. It's asking what drive is. The black model is a Western Digital Black. This is the SN850X. So I think this is the best performing version they did on Gen 4. I think. Model Citizen says 1 for FPS High Gamer, 2 for Creator. Now that is the thing. We are putting in here a 7800X3D. So by definition, the chip really is a gamer's chip. They're pretty useless for content creation, to be fair. They don't have the clock speed for a lot of programs. So I think it is predominantly going to be aimed at PC gamers. So again, it's a tough one. It really is a tough one. I think I know what will happen. I'll build this and someone will say, can I have the PC but without the graphics card? I pretty much know that's going to happen. Letter says, these days Windows takes a full terabyte. It's not that bad yet. Paul says 2 terabyte is you have Windows taking up a large portion of it and any AAA title is looking for space. Okay. Ashley says put a wheat bag on it. Okay.
Hot water bottle.
Yeah, hot water bottle.
It's the same thing, isn't it?
Is it? Oh, right. Okay.
What do you think it is?
I thought it was just like a wheat poultice or something. I don't know.
It's just like this. What do you eat at? You know when you know boots? Where'd you get all these bits from?
Mark Berry says I had the same thing just before Christmas. Comes and goes. Yeah, mine's been like that. Mine is, I think, again, a lot of it is because of where I'm sat there, not supporting my elbows and stuff when I'm sitting down. And also when I go to bed, I kind of do that on my phone, neck twisted and all. I'm just not looking after myself in that regard. I should sit properly.
But you've never sat properly. You've always...
I know. I know.
You lie on that bench in the garden, which is like upright arms, and you have your neck all scrunched right up.
Yeah.
Rather than
I need it to get warmer so I can just warm up the grass and the soil so I can just lie on the grass, just flatten, earth myself out, grounding.
Right, can you all get off my desk, please? If you had all this on your desk.
Sky says nothing wrong with them taking it out of the graphics card, just don't give them a big discount. What I always say is that whenever I sell these things, I've always got a price in mind of what I've priced the PC at. So if someone says, can you do it but without this, like the graphics card, I'll say, yeah, that's fine, but take off, like, I've priced in like £200 or whatever it might be. So just take that off the price. Mark says, I might try one of those gel packs, hot or cold. Deep heat works well if you don't mind the menthol smell. Yeah, I have actually got, funny enough, I did this earlier. I might do it again today. Or now, mate, I mean, I've got one of these little pocket hand warmers, a USB one. And I waited for that to warm up. And I just put it on my sleeve for a bit, or just hold it in place there. And that did seem to help, actually. It does warm up pretty good. Ordinary Dude, how you doing, Ordinary Dude? Says, generally I build with a 1 terabyte drive for Windows and apps, leaving plenty of space, but games and content files can go on a lot larger external drives, so they can be easily moved if needed.
I'm not sitting on my desk, mate.
Rasher says you should try sleeping like Oleta, ankle hooks and hanging from the ceiling upside down. It's not a bad idea. Semram says, what about a 1 terabyte NVMe and an SSD for games? I was looking at SSDs. I don't have any SSDs. Otherwise, yeah, that would be not too bad. So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what to do. ice is better when it's inflamed in hurting. I don't know if it's necessarily inflamed. I guess it probably is deep down. That is helping a little bit. Let's turn it off. Des says, what do you think of Microsoft getting rid of the control panel in the next major update? I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it will happen. It's the control panel in Windows is such a convoluted experience. Now, don't get me wrong, it's exactly the same in Android, it's the same in Linux, it's the same in basically every operating system to some extent, because there's so much legacy software in these operating systems. You think OS X, which is effectively what we're still running now, came out in what, 2002? And Mac OS is essentially still built on those early foundations. So there's a lot of kind of residual stuff which they probably would love to remove, but because kind of it's all part of that house of cards, isn't it? So there's like this house of cards, there's one bit at the bottom, and you're like, oh, remove that, and then the whole pack comes crashing down. And yeah, I don't think they can fully remove the control panel from Windows to the new modern version. In fact, I tried exactly something today, something very simple. So I wanted to change my Windows power profile, I wanted to change the screen wake time. And normally I click on the start menu at the bottom in the search box and just type in power. And that brings up all the power things. But I did it the other way, going into the other menu and typed in power, and then it brought up a whole bunch of other things in the modern Windows experience. And I couldn't quite get to where I wanted to go first time, so I was like, yeah, I need to revert back to the old version. And it went in, it was fine. So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of changes needed before Microsoft can properly kind of decommission the control panel. And the thing is, when they say like decommission, I noticed this actually, it's a very typical thing. At the moment, there's not a lot of newsworthy content, so people just report on any old shit that they've heard. Unfortunately, it's the things like that which kind of gain traction. It only takes one or two people to report on something, and then it becomes like a thing. The control panel won't go fully. It'll still be there hidden, as all Windows things. Yes, Kath? Sorry?
Ow.
You can call me Al. Thinking of upgrading from RX 6700 to a Gigabyte Radeon RX 7800 XT Gaming OC16. What's your opinion? Yeah, that's a pretty substantial upgrade. You should certainly notice an improvement. You probably won't necessarily notice improvement in FPS. This is a very common misconception that a lot of people have when upgrading their graphics cards, especially the people that kind of ask people's opinions, because they're the ones that don't really know what they're getting. They're just looking for other people to help them along and make the right decisions. So let's take a really good example. If you went from back in the day, you had a Pascal card like the 1050 Ti. Great little card. Excellent. Could run pretty much everything. So most games or game engines have like an auto-tune feature to some extent. So you can basically just open up a game, it detects your graphics card, you go ahead and go with their settings. So if you had the 1050 Ti and then you decided, right, I'm going to upgrade that, I'm going to put in like a 1060 6 gig or a 1070, you'd put the card in, you'd fire up your game, and it would also detect the card, and sometimes you'd get the same or only slightly better FPS, and you'd be thinking, well, this is like twice, triple the power. I should be getting triple the FPS. But that isn't how it works, because you're not really changing like with like. The game will automatically try and increase some settings, so it will increase the texture qualities, lots of little things in the background which it can change, which aren't going to change the resolution and perhaps won't even move the bracket of the preset you're in, but will add more overhead to the GPU. So you're not necessarily going to get like as many extra frames per second as you think you would. And I found this loads of times, going from like very similar cards and then upgrade into what would appear on paper as being considerably better, you don't necessarily get massively higher FPS, but the games look and feel nicer and possibly smoother. So that is something to be very mindful of, because if you go from like a 7600, which you're maybe playing on kind of medium or low settings, if you then put in a 7800 XT, you're then going to be probably medium, high, ultra settings. So your frame rate isn't necessarily going to increase drastically, but the visual fidelity will. Hello, Firephone. Just looking at the chatter, see if there's anything I've missed. Les Farmer says, yeah, also the CPU to GPU bottleneck changes balance. Yes, that is very true as well. Rasher apologises to Aletta. Yes, sorry, I forgot you sleep on your back with both arms crossed on your chest, Queen of Darkness style. Zombie says, I'm thinking of upgrading RX 5500 4GB to a RX 3070 8GB. Is a solid upgrade. Yes, that's a massive upgrade. The RX 550 was never the greatest of cards. And even that range, like the RX 570 and the 580s, they were okay, but they weren't like stellar. So the 550 was quite a kind of hacked version, which really didn't need 4 gigs of RAM. It could have probably got away with 2 quite easily. So yeah, your 3070 is going to be much, much more powerful. Firephone says, is this motherboard for a white build? Yes, it is. Well, it's a white build, but there's going to be black in it. I did talk about this on last week's stream, I think, or whenever I talked about it previously. The whole reason for this is we've got a white case, we've got a white power supply, possibly. There's going to be a lot of elements of white in here. And also because this is silver, predominantly, so silver, got white there. The PCB is obviously black, and some of the connections are black as well. But when you've got your graphics card in here, which is black as well, there's going to be a white AIO, so that's going to block up quite a bit of that. You've got the tubes, etc. And silver, when it gets hit by RGB lighting, generally tends to take on that colour, much the same as white would. So for all intents and purposes, the silver elements are going to appear white. So hopefully it's not going to look too bad. I didn't think I was going to get away with doing a pure white build, because they're just incredibly expensive to pull off, and to pull off nicely. So I'm not really even going to try to do that. I should start building actually, shouldn't I? Another bone of contention is the RAM. So I really should use the Juhor RAM for a couple of reasons. It's not the fastest kit in the world. It might get faster with a bit of tuning, but it's got RGB. So again, I could just use white RAM. That would be fine. But having RGB on it, again, gives your eyes somewhere else to settle on other than like the black areas. So yeah, I think that's where we're headed with it. Zombie says, I saw your review on the Arctic C5 case. Just ordered myself one. Cool. Thank you. David says, any RAM is better than no RAM. Yes. Semrab says, defo, just don't tell them the brand or spec. No, it'll be, they'll be like, the listing will say 32 gigs of DDR5 RGB RAM. And let's not dig too far into it. So we've got a brand spanking new 7800X3D. Actually, I could put you on the overhead, couldn't I, so you can see what I'm actually doing. So we're going to plonk that in. And it doesn't feel like it's seated right. Maybe it was. That doesn't look right on that side. It looks a bit proud at the end. Is there something stopping that? Why does that not want to go in there? Maybe that's okay. Okay, whatever. I'm sure we tested this board last week. Did we test this board last week? I'm pretty sure we did. Yeah, we did test this board last week. I'm sure we did. But we didn't test it with that processor. And it is an AliExpress special. DDR6 is apparently coming out at the end of this year or next year. What is your thoughts on prices for it? It's way too early to even contemplate that sort of stuff. I think it's clearly it's going to be expensive. Yeah, I don't think there's any real need for it, but then I said that about DDR5. So putting your RAM sticks in, just line them up, make sure the notch is in the right position and firm and equal pressure, and it should snap into place, not snap all together. That would be a very bad thing. And with these you can line up one side first, then the other, and again pressure, equal pressure, and yeah, those didn't, that's better. They needed a bit more pressure. Those are in there nicely. Sky says we did, I think. Dutch Jan says it looked like a few pins weren't right in the top left. It should be okay. Let me take the CPU back out again in a minute. It does feel like it's really, really hard in there, like not sitting very nicely at all. But the pins, I think, are okay. There's nothing physically in the way that I can see. And yeah, you can probably see those better than I can. Just wondered if the substrate on this CPU is a bit weird. Try that again, because I'm sure I put a CPU in this last week, and I'm sure we tested it. But it seems to me, I don't know if you can pick this up on the camera, but it seems, actually, let me zoom in. That would help. Zoom extreme. So it looks to me, it looks to me like the CPU isn't all the way in the socket on that angle. Let me try another CPU and see how well that fits. It could be that I've got a dodgy from AliExpress. It happens. So I've got a 7500F there. Let's take that out. Let's see if this sits any nicer. No, that kind of looks the same. It almost looks like it's not fully dropping down. That notch looks like it's not fully going down for some reason. But I'm sure this is definitely the board we tested in last week's stream, and it did power up because we put the RAM in.
I can't have you on my test, baby.
So I'm just going to go with the flow and say that it's fine. Yeah, it looks like that piece of plastic just there looks a little bit too wide.
I know, but you can't sit on my desk.
Anyone else seeing that? Semrab says the 7500F would be a better match to that GPU. It kind of would be, but I want to give it the element of like it can be upgraded easily.
Right, can we all get down?
Yeah, it looks like it's not sitting very flush in there. Oh well, we'll find out. Does look like it's pushing down quite well in there. Well, anyway. Up close seems fine. Yeah, I think it is. Zooming. Right, so we've got a RAM in. Let's go to the drives now. So what's the consensus? Are we going with the drives, or are we going with the 1 terabyte or the 2 terabyte? Let me know your thoughts.
I did. You didn't look.
Again, I don't know. I think I might go with the black. Purely for the reason that it was a lot cheaper. It was essentially half the price of that, which kind of makes sense because it is half the size. Sky says 1 terabyte. Yeah, I think 1 terabyte is going to be a safer bet. I can also, I've got a whole bunch of drives as well, like mechanical drives. I'm a bit loath to put a mechanical drive in a gaming PC these days, but I do have one, so I could do it. So I'm going to go with the 1 terabyte. How's that motherboard? I'm thinking of getting it as a side grade to my Sapphire Nitro. Yeah, they're great boards. I really like these. They work very well. They look very nice. All the right features. All the slots for me are in the right places. Plenty of fan headers, etc. A nice long slot at the bottom if you want to put in like capture cards and that kind of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of things they do very well on this board. And you can pick them up remarkably cheap as well. And relatively easy to work on as well, which is nice. Yeah, I'm sure we did test this board last week. I'm almost 100% sure we did. Do the peel. And try and get this back into the approximately the right position. I do miss not having a kind of quick release type drive set up here. Cool. Dom. Question, Mike, do you think those contact frames for CPU socket are worth it? Worth it is a very subjective question. And also it depends on your use case as well. If you are going to be putting the system together and you're probably not going to touch it a great deal, then yeah, it's great. If you're someone who swaps out CPUs often, it's probably not ideal because it's extra work to take it out. But also on the flip side of that, if you are doing lots of CPU changes, it is a little bit cleaner because you can wipe it clean significantly easier. In terms of mountings, I don't think it makes any difference for performance, temperatures, etc. The only thing possibly which has going for it is obviously the spring loading mechanism on there over time is going to weaken a little bit. Not hugely, but it will weaken to some extent. It will all collapse a little bit, whereas at least with the metal block, it isn't spring loaded, it's just applying pressure, so... Yeah, I don't know what the... I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, really. They are very useful, quite handy to have. I like using them, but I don't have one on hand at the moment. Otherwise, I probably would have put one in. But yeah, it's horses for courses. So I think that is...
Where's Rick H tonight?
Yeah, where is Rick H? I thought I'd seen him. Not too sure. Right, next thing... Sorry?
I don't think I would.
All right. Next thing we will do... David Earl says, but it's not MSI. I know. If it was MSI, things would be better, but sadly it's not. So the next thing to do is, I'm not going to install the cooler, but I'm going to set up the mounting brackets because it's a lot easier to do when it's flat on a table rather than being like in a case. So let's get our mounting equipment out, and being that this is a Thermaltake one, it should be pretty straightforward from memory. And I probably won't even need the instructions because I'm just that kind of guy. So I'm going to need the horseshoe for later. Going to need 2 of those tie downs. And in terms of... Actually, I'm trying to think now, what else do we need? AM4. I'll think about this now. AM4, so that goes around there. Yeah, that's all we need. We just need 2 hooks. So actually I don't need to do anything with the board at all. I can leave that as it is because this section here is going to end up there, and this is going to go around the outside of the cooler, and it will just clamp down over the existing frame that is there. So yeah, we don't need to do anything at all. Excellent. That is something I do like. I would prefer if there was a 4-point mounting method for these, but they have proved over time that this method is fine, as they say. So I can pretty much put all of this back away. I do need to assemble the cooler actually. So maybe we should look at that next. So let's get rid of the motherboard and put that to one side for now. And move the graphics card because we don't need that quite yet. And let's take out the fans. This is the unfortunate thing with slightly cheaper coolers, or cheaper setups even, is that you have to do a lot of the kind of the donkey work, for want of a better term, yourself. So the actual assembly, which to be fair, Thermaltake in their wisdom have improved this over the last few years, but this model is a little bit older now, so it does require a few extra steps to be performed by the end user. But we are not completely oblivious to that, so let's think about what is going to happen here when we put this into the PC. And ideally I want it to be something along those lines. So the fans are going to have to be cables at the back. So we'll have the back towards me. And leave that somewhere there. So these are going to be cabled out towards the back here. We'll just put those in place. These are daisy chainable fans, so it is a little bit easier. Not massively, but it does make life a little easier. Let's go to the overhead on that one. And now we're going to need the long screws. This is another thing which bugged me slightly about this, is like they've gone to the effort of making pretty much everything possible white, but then they give you black screws, which seems a little bit counterintuitive. So I'm just going to get one started there, just so we know we're in the right ballpark. Get one started there. One started there. This would have been so much nicer if it was a pre-assembled. But hey ho. It is what it is. Thermaltake fans are pre-installed. You would think Thermaltake could be doing that, casting for that costing twice as much. Yeah, there certainly is some very contrasting things between the companies. I just dropped a screw. That's Kath's least favourite noise.
But say why?
Because a cabinet fell on her years ago. It had loads of little tools and knickknacks and screws and stuff. And
I was only about a year old.
She was very young. It pulled over a cabinet, and all the stuff in the cabinet went all over a wooden floor. And the noise, she didn't like the noise. Now the secret to installing these fans and keeping them low noise is not to over tighten them. So just do it so the screw starts pinching against the rubber. They don't have to be cranked all the way down, because if you crank them all the way down, they can't actually move very much. And the whole point of the rubber mountings is to have some element of flexibility so they can absorb vibration. Whereas if you crank them all the way down, you're essentially preventing any wiggle room and any vibrational. So yeah, don't do up your screws too tight, just so they start to feel snug against the rubber. That is fine. This is fine. So another thing we have to take into consideration now as well, when it comes to the wiring on these, which is not one of my favorite things, I'll be honest, is the way that the daisy chain is actually going to operate. So there are some kind of givens within this, because if you take the fan ones to start with, they have kind of got to go together regardless of what we're doing. So we'll put the fan ones together, and then we can do the RGB ones, which again just fit together quite nicely, he says. And also Thermaltake do include these little plastic covers, so this holds them together so they don't fall apart in transit or anything. So you just snap that over and that prevents them being pulled apart, which is pretty awesome. So we daisy chain these, but the thing I always get confused with this is which way do you, which end is the kind of like the live end, so to speak. And there isn't really a live end because you could wire them up either way, but it will become clearer when we find the extension cable. So, also as well at this point you can kind of work out where you're going to take your cables or route them through your case. So let's take a look inside here. So here are the kind of extension cables. So the one that goes into the motherboard is generally the one that has a pigtail. So that is the motherboard end. So clearly by deduction, this end has to be the bit that connects to the cooler. So if we disconnect that, we know we've got those sorts of pins. So we've actually got male pins. So we need to find the female end. So the female end of this daisy chain is this end. Because if we go to the other end and take this cap off, we've got the same sort of pins. So we know that is not right because male into male doesn't work. Well, it kind of can do, but you need adapters.
Rick's here.
Hey, Rick. We missed you, Rick. So that is now going to go down to the motherboard and plug into one of the motherboard headers. So that's cool. And also they have included an additional one of these little joiners. So we can connect that in there as well to stop these coming apart. Oh, that's gone in a little bit too well. Yeah, they do hold together really nicely. It's a great design actually. I want to 3D print some of these of my own. Wish I knew the design. So that is that cable anyway. So also when it comes to the PWM one, again we've got the same deal. So the one that goes to the motherboard always has the piggyback or pass-through. So that means that is going to our motherboard. So by deduction, this end has got to connect to our radiator setup. So in order to do that, we've got this other last lead here. We can't do it at this end because that is the same plug. So those clearly aren't going to go together. So we're going to use this side here. And also going to get rid of these bloody labels. There. Bane of my life. Go away. Don't like you. At this point, it might be tempting, he says, to actually get some tape or some sort of fixings, even blue tack possibly, and just kind of hold these cables in place, just to make it look a little bit cleaner and neater. That is something which I have often considered doing. But again, that's down to the individual. If you want to go to that hassle, you can do. I probably won't bother. They're not going to hang down a great deal. And if you do put a cable tie there, for instance, and the cable tie kind of there, the rigidness of the cables is going to kind of hold that in place anyway. So I think I might actually do that. I'm going to grab some cable ties in a minute and we'll just tidy that up. Again, you don't have to, but I am going to. Dutch Jan says, why is the pigtail on the motherboard side? So their reasoning or rationale behind it is that if you're plugging, say, this PWM connector into your motherboard, if you've got another device which you want to plug in, it's easier to route it behind the motherboard into one of these headers than it is to join to the pigtail on the end here. So rather than taking all of your wires up to the AIO, you can just take it to where your headers are, which then is just a natural extension of the header. It kind of makes sense because when you're wiring up your PC, you often kind of subconsciously try to get your wires towards where the headers are going to be, or likely to be. So yeah, I think for that point, it makes sense. And I don't want to do these up too tight. Just holding them together is going to be absolutely fine. Because that way then, if we do them up loosely, we can always move them if we need to. And also it's easier to cut them off should things turn out to go south and you want to actually kind of start over. So again, when that's tipped down on the side now, those are going to pretty much hold in place, but they're not going to sag down too much. That one probably might need another one on the end, just to hold it in place. I suppose what we could do, we could always fold that over on itself, but it's probably going to be okay. But I am going to put another tie around it anyway, just so I don't... What's that? The question about why?
Top or bottom?
Question, top or bottom, what's the difference? Cables can go both ways. Yeah, I guess generally, because you've installed an AIO where it belongs, that area is then going to be somewhat more cramped to actually try to attach cables to at a later date. So by having it at the motherboard side or motherboard header area, in theory that may have less obstruction. I honestly don't really know the logic behind it. Yeah, that'll be fine. So that is the AIO done. Let's put my cable ties away. I need to buy some cable ties. Do you know what? I've been really good this month. I've bought basically nothing, which is going to mean it's really bad for content coming up shortly. But we will persevere one way or the other. It came with a spare set of cables as well. I'll chuck those back in the box. And I think we can pack away most... Oh, actually, that was the screws for the bloody fans. I've used the wrong screws for the fans. That was a screw up. Should I take the screws out and put the right ones back in, or should I just leave it? Oh.
Do things with pride, take them out.
I'm going to do it properly. I don't even know why those are in there. Mark Berry says, years ago I used to sell gaffer tape, repeat orders for festivals and PA equipment for 500 rolls in a box. And gaffer tape isn't cheap. Gaffer tape, if you get the proper stuff, is about, well, it used to be about 7 or 8 quid a roll. It's probably a lot more than that now. What with inflation and ting. These screws won't even be visible, but I will know that I've done it right.
Was that Senrabs, what's the difference question you answered?
Question, what's the difference? Oh, what's that? What's the difference between what? The screws? The screws are, they're either thinner black ones or thicker nickel plated ones. So there isn't really any real difference. They are a little bit thicker, so maybe they will hold the fans in position better, possibly. I don't think they would, but they do look a little bit fatter. Quite a bit fatter, actually. Don't know if you can see that very well, but yeah, that's the ones they should be using. That's the ones I have been using. So yeah, they are a much bigger, stronger screw in theory. Or I guess technically it's a bolt. Even though they've got a screw thread, they are effectively bolts. Actually, what is the difference between a bolt and a screw? About 50 quid. Ba-boom. Hang on, I can't see it at the moment. Oh, my magnetic powers are failing me. Need a proper screwdriver. Dutch Jan. Question, can get the CPU header without... Question, can get the CPU header without that cable? I don't really understand the question. Can you get the CPU header without that cable? Yeah, you have to run that one by me again. Juhor RAM joke. Oh, is there a screw missing? Is that why I used it? No, one, two. No, we're all right. I'm losing my mind a little bit. Odd colour.
Someone said the head. Difference between screws and bolts, I suppose, was the question.
Yeah, I suppose a bolt would have a hex head or an Allen key head. A bolt is more for like strength, whereas a screw would be more for fixing, I guess. I don't know, I'm just guessing. Right, let's put this in here. Mike has a screw loose. It does feel like that at times. It seems to be getting quite warm in here again. Only 55% humidity, but it feels like it's a bit hotter. And I just saw the temperature actually go down on the hydrometer thing. So it's actually dropped down. Oh no, it's gone back up again almost immediately. Dutch Jan. Sorry, wrongly worded. I can't the cable get the CPU lifter without that extra cable? Can't the cable get the CPU lifter? I still don't really understand that. You might have to run that by me a couple of times. It's been a long week, a long day. Can't this cable get the CPU lifter without the extra cable? Oh, I still can't make head nor tail of that. My apologies. Hopefully, whatever the question is, it will become very clear once we get this installed. That should be one of the saving graces. Dutch Jan can't get the cable. Can the cable get the CPU header without the extra cable? Oh, no. I think I understand what you mean now. So what you're saying is, can't these fan cables reach the motherboard without having the extension? No, unfortunately not, because the extension is really small. It's less than 120 mil, which is like the length of the fan. So, well, potentially if your motherboard lined up like perfect scenario, you might get away with it. This one, you never know actually. If it does, I can just unplug that. The RGB header, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I understand what you mean now. I think in this one, it might actually be close. But I don't know if it's going to have enough stretch to do it. But yeah, I get where you're coming from now. Uh, 406, hey, how you doing there, mate? Even all just a flying visit on my way to some races, have a good one. And have a good race. Dutch Jan says where it is now, it seems to be about the same place. I think it is very close. But I don't know if it's going to be close enough. But if it is, yeah, we can detach those. And that would be great. That will save some extra cabling and all this junk. Yeah, sorry I didn't quite catch that, what you were trying to say earlier. But what you're saying does make perfect sense now. Right, let's put this to one side. And where can I put it? Let's put it up here. And next we can get the case out. Let's go back to the main camera. Hello. Oh, balls. Didn't put that in the bag. Where did I put the bag? Oh, there. Ah, dear. Yeah. Right, I think that is all we need in that bag, so I can go back in there. And I will get the case out very shortly. First of all, though, I'm going to take my jumper off because it's getting a bit warm in here, isn't it? Do you think it's getting warmer? Or is it just me?
It's been warmer since you had the heating on.
It went off at 8. Let's hang that up there. Oh, I'll tell you what, even hanging up my jackets these days hurts. Oh. Roll on the summer when you don't need jackets. Right, I am going to get the case out. What a lovely case it is. Let's get rid of the ears on the side. And get rid of that. Get rid of some of this little bits and pieces of rubbish. Try and tidying up behind yourself is always a good idea. Or idea, if you live in Bristol. Here, I got a great idea. I'm going to go to Asda, get some paracetamol, and hopefully it will clear up my diarrhea. Electric shock time. No electric shock time. That didn't go as well as I anticipated.
No, actually, puts it on at 4 o'clock.
What do I put on?
Heating. Comes on at 4.
Doesn't come on at all now. It's turned off.
Is it?
Yeah.
It was on tonight though.
Yeah, because I did it.
Hive think he's just putting it on.
No, it's me. I do it every single time. Hive has never done it.
All the night you wake up and put it on.
No, it's because it drops below a certain threshold temperature.
Lower it. You don't want it when you're sleeping.
Kath's a bloody old miser at heart. She don't like spending money on heating.
I don't like his hot bedrooms either. It wakes me up. That's how I know the heating's on. It's too hot. Better for your arm and stuff.
No, it's not.
It
Because
is.
then I got to pull the covers up over my head, and that strains my arm.
But always better for inflamed stuff, isn't it?
Right, there we go. There is our case. And we might as well start taking it apart straight away, really. Something's making a weird noise there.
Did you want that?
We'll take the rear panel off. We'll take the top panel off as well. Comes off very easily. And we'll take off the front panel. Although, did I put the screws back in? Yes, I did. There are actually, I'll show you on the overhead camera, there is a transport screw in the glass to prevent it coming out in transit. So just take out that screw and then you can take the glass out in its entirety. Instruction manual, don't need that. Let's go to main camera. Right, so where are we at? Let's find the bag of screws because that is going to be helpful because we will be needing those to put the motherboard in. And the fans that this case comes with are already in a similar sort of daisy chain situation as what we've got going on with our AIO. So there's lots and lots of wires, which isn't always fantastic. But we will adapt and overcome. And I think the first thing to do is, because I've used this previously, is I can take out the screws for the motherboard standoffs. Because I generally tend to leave them in after I've done a case build or review or something. purely because it's just easier. You know which screws they are then every time. And someone like Glenn, who's bought cases off me in the past, they oh shit, they'll know that I always leave the screws in, so it makes life easier, so you don't have to go through multiple bags and work out which screw is which. That's the weird thing about motherboard standoffs. Like pretty much most other things in computers have become somewhat standardized. So things like power supply screws, pretty much standardized. The coarse threaded screws, 3.5 inch hard drives, coarse screws, pretty much every single time. 2.5 inch SSDs and 5.25 inch drives, the finer screws. So those are pretty much the same across the board. But motherboard standoffs are the one thing which have never ever become standardized. Sometimes they're the coarse screws, sometimes they're the fine screws, and even between manufacturers, they can use different types on different models. It's a little bit of a free-for-all, really. But I digress. It doesn't matter, does it, at the end of the day? So let's go back to overhead, and we will put the motherboard in, hopefully. And let's move that up about, oh, I might have to zoom out a little bit. There we go. You can just pretty much see it all now, I think. Oh, my arm. And the motherboard is over here. So let's do the peel, because that's going to be a lot easier to do in this position. Nice. And can put the motherboard in. I'm pretty sure this actually has a locating lug in the middle pin. So if we give it a little bit of a wiggle, there we go. It fell into place. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And I need to magnetize my screwdriver once again. I'm not sure if this is the right way to do it or not. Rick says, I like that case. White cases are easier on the old eyes. Jim Rab says, geez, all those wires, a lot easier in ITX, yes. Nice looking motherboard for sure. It does look pretty slick. Oh yeah, Lead Farmer says, break open the PCIe ports. That's a very good idea. So graphics card is going to be that one and that one. So let's take those out before we get the motherboard away. There is a tendency when you bash these out that they can potentially, when you're doing the wiggle, they can break off components on this side bit. A lot of manufacturers have actually made it so there's quite a clear zone there, but they don't always. So yeah, removing the PCI Express blanking plates without your motherboard being in the way is a really good idea. Thank you very much, Lead Farmer, for that one. That is a solid suggestion. And that popped back into place. Good stuff. So don't really make much difference which way you start on these. Sometimes it can be a little beneficial to get the screws started loosely. Don't crank them all down straight away. Just get them started, do a few turns that way. Then if you do find at some point the motherboard is a little bit out of orientation, you can give it a final little kind of wiggle just to get it to seat in the correct position. Again, it's one of those things that if you've been building computers long enough, you kind of know this, or you have experienced it, so you kind of don't do it. Was that Dutch Jan? Breakout PCIe slots, yeah. It's I did complain about this in the review. But this case at the moment retails for about £90 here in the UK. So that's about 100 and, what's it, 120 euros ish, I guess, or like nearly 200 Aussie dollars. And things like the PCI Express blanking plates is one of those things which I think is, well, it's not unexcusable, but it is one of those things which potentially might make you consider going to another case. But I'm hoping by the end of this, when we got it all assembled, that the looks of it and the overall performance of it are going to certainly outweigh any of those minor quibbles about PCI slots. Another thing which that does prevent as well is you have no real option for vertical mounting other than purchasing a separate vertical mounting GPU like universal thing, because obviously you've got the slots along the side there as well. So yeah.
Great PCIe port slots on a case of more than 100 euros.
Yeah, that's what I just said. I just answered that. Yeah. How's it?
Yeah.
Right, let's chuck away some of this stuff that I don't need. It's alright, Otis. Oh my goodness, he's so scared of everything. And I don't know why, because we've always been very kind to him. Probably kinder to him than any of the others.
He's baby.
He is the baby. Right, so yeah.
It's his 15th birthday this week.
Yeah. Daisy is Maisie, sorry.
But she feels like she's been 15 for the last 3 years, but these sort of snaps only had different ages.
Yeah.
So
Right, next we're going to do the cables. I'm going to just plug them in and pass them through. So we've got our CPU. So I can plug that into the top there. Come on, get in, you bastard.
Come on, Poppy. Flamey, come in.
Now the power supply we're using this is absolutely, completely overkill. Now there are potentially many reasons why it's overkill, but one of them being is it's a white power supply. It's one I've had here for a while and I could do with getting rid of it. So that is essentially the answer to it. There's no other rhyme nor reason. And I'm just going to pass through those cables.
My cable top 12 volt. Question mark.
Yep, done that one.
Okay. Sorry, if I can get them in and out.
Oh, come on, you bastard. This is fighting me every step of the way.
Go back in the window then. Can I be in my desk tonight?
That thing is annoying me. Stop wobbling. Yeah, the power supply that's going in here is a 1050 watts, which is, yeah, probably overkill. But like I said, the idea really with this PC is that it's going to be somewhat future-proof, despite the fact of having a relatively weak GPU. So there is the, sorry, you didn't have a very good shot there, did you? So got that cable in. Could probably, oh, that bastard thing. I should have glued that in actually before I started. Those rubber grommets are a pain. But yeah, I think that's okay. That'll do fine. So yeah, I suppose we can do the rear I/O now, or front I/O rather. Get that done. and poke that rubber grommet back in the right place. That is something, that is one of my pet peeves really, when those grommets don't stay in their places. Like if you're going to put a grommet on something, make sure it bloody works. Make sure it stays in place. After all, that is its only job. That's all it needs to do. So let's put that, just run that over the top there, just to keep it out of the way. And I think I'll do the same with the power main 24 pin.
Are you making that noise?
As you want it.
It rings me. Oh,
Miss Otis is eating out of the box. It's Poppy eating.
You were there, aren't you? Good boy.
Right. Where was I? Okay. I think for this, I'm going to remove the disk drive tray or disk drive caddy. Whether or not I put it back in after, I don't know. Quite often with these sorts of builds, because there's a lot of wires and stuff, I generally take it out and say to the person who's having it, say, look, if you want to put a drive in there, there is a cage in there if you want to put it back in, but I've left it out to give you more room. Making out that I'm actually doing something for them, whereas the actual reality is that I'm doing it more for myself to make life easier. And that sounds like a super chat coming in. And there we go. Good evening, Lady Calf and Sir Mike of Mub from Rick H. Thank you for your £2 donation, $2 donation, I should say, sorry. If I could find a mouse, I would click on the darn thing. Dutch Jan says the case can't be much because the fans cost €15 each. I think you're probably overestimating how much those fans are. This, along with a lot of other things these days, especially cases, a lot of the price on cases these days is down to increased shipping costs. The actual construction costs haven't really changed dramatically. Yes, there's been a few increases in raw materials. I get it. But the majority of your price of cases now is in transportation. And I don't know if you've ever looked, but buying a case on AliExpress, especially like one that is like a full built case like this type of thing, ridiculously expensive to get shipped to the UK. May be different for other locations, but yeah, certainly I've looked at a few and it's like, wow, that is pretty expensive. Now, with this cable, do I daisy chain the rear exhaust to the intakes? Now, if I daisy chain the rear exhaust to the intakes, that means we've got 4 fans on one channel, effectively. Which should be okay. So I think I probably will do that, just to eliminate a little bit more wiring at this end of the case. We can put that in through there. I have to think about where we're going to run these cables. That's one of the reasons why I really do like these like magnetic connection fans and more block connect type fans. This is yeah, a little bit of a pain. And a lot of it actually comes from the fact that they're daisy chained, so each cable has kind of got 2 plugs on it, which just increases the amount that you have to plug in, or could be plugged in. This is in a right state. Who did this? This must have been me. Thank you very much for the $25. Damar007, thank you very much. Much appreciated. That is fantastic. Thank you very much. Sorry, my head is somewhere else in the moment, and it is in this wiring, because this is just way too much to deal with, isn't it? So if I plug that one into the top of this one, see, this is another thing which kind of, it doesn't annoy me, but it could be easier, is, again, when you've got daisy chain fans, you're kind of thinking to yourself, okay, so if I'm daisy chaining the fans, which motherboard header am I actually aiming for? Because obviously if you're daisy chaining fans kind of downward direction, you're probably thinking of fan headers at the bottom. But if you do it the opposite way round, you're thinking, fan headers on the top. So then it really needs you to take a look. Oh shit. I could have swore I cut myself on that then. That's sharp. That is something you don't see very often these days, a sharp on a case. Where are my headers?
Mark Gaines.
Mark Gaines, what's going on with PayPal? Mike tried to send you a donation. It's not working. I have no idea. Am I bleeding? Let's have a look. Oh, actually I won't be able to have a look, will I don't think? Can you see anything, Kath, on yours? What, any issues with PayPal? Can't see anything. I don't know, sorry. Lead Farmer says PayPal has been auto fraud protection AI tested. Oh God.
And somebody else put a question just up from there. NVMe red rum. Is GPU coil wine normal?
Yes.
And harmless and can't just be ignored?
GPU coil wine is generally something which you can kind of ignore. Well, hopefully you could ignore. It's one of those things, coil wine comes from multiple things. It can come from a damaged card. That is one thing to actually really bear in mind. You could have just bought a bad card. Most of the time though, it comes from where you're driving frames at such a high frame rate that just the pure frequency of the frames is resonating with the actual coils themselves, or the chokes and stuff like that. So like if you're running a game at sort of 300 FPS or more, then there's a pretty strong chance that it is going to resonate. It can also come from the power supply as well. So if your power supply maybe isn't the best, or just the frequency internally that it's running at, there's many things which it can do. Like a 60, like if you're using UK power, you might find that a graphics card won't be as bad as it is using US power, and kind of vice versa. It's all about the resonance factor and what the actual resonant frequency is. A lot of it can be cured by just putting a frame limit or frame cap. Again, it's not really kind of, you probably have to do it on a per game basis depending on how bad it is. Like I find on my system, most games are fine, but if I play something like Rocket League where it's not very demanding, I can get a bit of core wine then because it's at such a high frequency. But yeah, it's all about finding what the problematic titles are and just reducing the frame rates if you can, or capping them, or turn on VSync. VSync generally is the kind of the one-stop. Poppy, what are you doing? Don't sit on that stuff, please. You can do if you want, I don't care really. And typically the connector doesn't fit on. There we go.
Our PayPal looks okay, we can get into it.
Right, Kath's just checked the PayPal, looks okay at our end, so I don't know, could be anything going on.
I can't be everywhere.
It's a strange world we live in. Right, so I'm doing the USB connectors while I'm kind of thinking to myself as well. And there's something ironic about USB Type-C. And you've probably all come across this already. That USB-C is a universal connection. You can plug it in one way, you can plug it in the other. Now that isn't entirely true. I think the opposite sides are wired differently. So sometimes you can actually turn the plug around 180 degrees and get better results or worse results depending on the way round it is. I've certainly found that on a couple of devices. But the thing that really is the kind of the real thing that bothers me is the USB Type-C, the actual plug-in connector on the case is kind of universal. You can't plug it in wrong. Yet the actual header which plugs into the motherboard is keyed. And it's keyed in such a small, minute way that it's almost impossible to see or detect. So you almost always have to do, like, well, you might get lucky and press it once and it goes. Yes, Kath?
Have you finished what you're saying?
Oh, no. Yeah, it's just, I think there's an irony about it, which, yeah, it's bizarre.
Right, did you see Dutch Jams?
Um,
Combine the rear fan and...
If you combine the rear fan and the side fans, you will have severe low pressure in your case.
Oh.
I don't think it's going to be that bad, because the 3 fans on there are going to be intake. Now, they're not the strongest of fans, but there are 3 of them. Now, the exhaust fan is going to be exhausting just one exhaust fan, and it's just going to be spinning at the same speed as those. So there should be positive pressure, 3 fans versus 1, or at least close to being equal, assuming that these are choked off a little bit by the case itself, etc, etc. If you take into account the CPU cooler on the top, so that's 3 fans being an exhaust, which potentially you would think would be a bad thing, but in this instance, because the case is highly perforated anyway, and also the side fans are a little bit on the weaker side, the actual exhaust pressure will actually encourage the intake to pull in more, because it's kind of like willing it into the case. So that would mean also that the CPU fans are going quite slowly, which quite fast, I mean, which hopefully they won't be for much of the time. But yeah, I get where you're coming from. I don't think it's going to be too bad. Yes, Kath?
Jamie, it's not really a question, it's just a statement, but...
Jamie. Where is Jamie? I can't see Jamie.
Just down from the one you just answered.
All right, okay.
$10.04.
10.04. Mike Cathers wanted to say how much. How much? Mike Cathers wanted to say how much in what's going on around the world. How much I appreciate this on a Saturday night. You cheer me up no end. Oh, thank you, Jamie. It's not intentional. It's just a byproduct of me messing around. But I'm glad you're enjoying it. Thank you. And it's nice to hear some kind words. So bless you for that. I'm going to need some cuss words, I think, for the next part. So now I've got the USB 3 header, which is what I was trying to get around to earlier. And it's in a stupid position. So the pass-through at the top doesn't work because it's not close enough. The pass-through at the bottom might be okay. But ideally, I'd like all the cables to come through the same place. But I don't think it's going to. So I'm going to try and pass it through behind the motherboard. And hopefully it will come out. There, I don't think it will. Jan Dummer sent 501 GPP. Thank you very much. Yes. Is there a note there? It says test. Thank you, Jan. It's working, at least for you.
And my emails are.
And Kath's email's working as well. Blimey. We must have paid the bill. Oh, sad times as well. This week I actually cancelled my my Virgin Media subscription, which is actually sad times because we have been with Virgin Media now for well, I don't know how many years would you say we've been with Virgin Media now? Since your mum's, effectively.
What since?
When did we move out of there, or when did we first get cable there? So they paid for it initially, though, didn't they? We took over, didn't we?
Not there. Not till we moved out.
So 97?
No, we moved out before we got married.
Yeah.
So back in 91, 92.
Yeah, so we've been with Virgin Media or Telewest or Cablenet since like the early 90s. So we've been a loyal customer for them for the best part of, yeah, probably 30 years.
Maybe I did take over paying it because I had
I think you
in
did.
my room, didn't I?
Yeah, I thought you did. But yeah, somewhere around the very early 90s. So when cable TV first came out, before the internet was even a thing, we were a customer of theirs. And it's just come around to the point where the broadband is up for renewal. And I had to fight to get a deal last time, even though I've been a customer for such a long time. And also we've taken out a telephone mobile package with O2 for the Volt deal to get extra speed. So kind of more services in Virgin Media's overall basket because it's VMO2 now. They're part of the same company. And their renewal, like we're paying 40 something pounds a month, 44 I think it is, 43 pounds a month for 1 gig broadband, the telephone, free local rate calls, and the TV. But we've not even connected up the TV. So yeah, it's not really a lot we're doing. And there's another company.
We do have paper bills and we do have caller display.
Yeah, caller ID we have, and also we have paper bills. So that adds on a little bit, but not a lot.
David.
So there's a company in the UK called UFibre, and they're actually in Tewkesbury, which isn't very far from us.
You go out?
It's quite nearby. So got a quote from them for the same service, pretty much, give or take. It was £30 a month, fixed for 12 months. Whereas Virgin Media wanted it to be, their renewal was like, they asked for 80 quid something for a 24-month contract to start with. And it's like, you're absolutely barking mad. The renewal offer you sent me via email was much less than that. So you just pulled that quote out of your ass, basically. Like, you deliberately trying to lose customers? So yeah, I was quite upset about that. And again, Virgin Media, I think all companies do it. Like, once they've got you, that's it, they don't care. But I don't understand the logic behind it. Like, surely the shareholders, like, how many people take...
They've probably got all the data they need on you that they want new people.
No, I'm thinking from a financial point of view, if you've subscribed to a company or you bought from a company, and then your renewal fee is either astronomical or considerably more than it would be if you were a new customer, like, why on God's green earth would you continue being their customer for being basically shafted? So they either need to turn around and say, right, we're not doing new customer offers, but if you stay with us, we will reduce your bill every year by X amount of money as a goodwill gesture. And the longer you're with us, the more discount you get. So you basically want to become a long-term customer. Whereas now it's like the exact opposite. So every year you have to change your internet service just to get the best deal, which seems absolutely bizarre. I really don't understand how that market works. Because surely when renewals come around, they lose so many customers that then go off to another platform and probably stay there. I don't understand it at all.
They won't stay there, will they? Because the other platform does exactly the same.
But they don't, that's the trouble. A lot of others, well, there's not really that many options to be fair, but they don't really change a great deal.
Everything. It's the same with gas and electricity, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, let me know what you think. Did you have your hand up?
Yeah,
Flicks with Bean?
Meyer.
Got it working earlier, but...
Yo,
I need help. My computer boot loops after I disable secure boot and update BIOS. Yes, it will do. Because if you've disabled secure boot and then update your BIOS, secure boot has been turned on. So secure boot is designed so that if your system hasn't got the secure boot key installed, it won't boot. So it will go into a boot loop because it will refuse point blank to load that disk drive. So if you haven't had secure boot and you still haven't got secure boot on your system, then you can disable it. If you've had secure boot on your system and you've had it previously enabled, you have to continue using secure boot. And these days it makes sense to turn on secure boot anyway, because there's lots of game anti-cheat software which requires it. So like, you might as well just leave it on. I've never understood the reason for people not having secure boot on. Maybe there is a benefit to it. I don't know what it would be, but I don't know. If you're having problems, you can jump onto our Discord and hopefully someone will help you through it. David Thompson says, I've been with Virgin since they were Telewest. Yeah, we were the same.
United Artists.
We started off with United Artists. They then were bought out or changed to Telewest. Telewest went to... It was CableNet or Cable iNet at one point, or was that just the broadband? Yeah. So it must have been United Artists, then Telewest, then Virgin Media. I'm sure there was someone else in between it. I know, NTL World, because NTL World, or NTL was kind of bought into the Virgin Media group roughly the same time that Telewest was. Yeah, Blue Yonder. Yeah, Blue Yonder. Blue Yonder was Blue Yonder just because the internet service was originally Cable iNet, then it was Blue Yonder, and then Blue Yonder became Virgin Media, I think.
We've still got our Blue Yonders.
Yeah, we still use Blue Yonder email addresses, although we might not be very soon.
But I'll have to pay another 300 quid for my course.
I'd rather pay an extra 300 quid for your course.
Than give it to them.
Yeah.
I don't think you can move your email.
The Robin bastards. Right, so USB-C, USB 3, that is done, that is done, that is done. We are actually getting somewhere. So I think the next thing to do is to install the AIO. And where did I put it? Oh, yes, behind me. It's behind you. Good old AIO. Now, hopefully this case has got enough height that I don't have to fanny around with the plugs.
Blue Yonder email address as soon as told.
Oh, are they? They have said that for a long time.
Not linked to your email address, then just your phone number.
Yeah. The whole... It's been a kerfuffle. I really do regret being an early adopter at times, because back in the day I was thinking like having a Cable iNet address, which then became a Virgin, became a Blue Yonder, and then potentially could become a Virgin Media, etc., etc. Seemed like a good idea just to have like one email address, but then it dawns on you after that once you have one email address, you're kind of locked into that provider, aren't you? Even if you want to change.
It's like when I worked at NatWest and they wanted you to have a staff mortgage, so you kept on working for them.
Cable and wireless, yeah. Oh yeah, that's yeah.
So
yeah.
I think they were over that, were they?
Cable and wireless was one of the names, but I think that was more for other regions of the UK. Because that was the thing, the cable rollout, he says, the cable rollout across the UK was partially funded by the UK government. So lots of little companies got very excited thinking they could get some money. So you had lots of little regional companies doing the fibre and the internet rollout across the UK. So you had lots of little players, and they all eventually just became amalgamated into one, effectively, which was Virgin Media. But then some of them split off and went to like BT and B Sky B, and BT then was part of B Sky B and what have you. It was weird for a time. There was quite a few providers, but now there's very few. Most of the providers now tend to be virtual. So
the same with gas and electric.
Yeah, gas and electric is the same. Like you have virtual providers, don't you?
They had a lot go bankrupt, didn't they? So saying.
White PSU cables with black connectors. Who's got that? Oh yeah, me. It's a blackboard, so it's fine. Don't read into it too much. It's fine, honestly. Right, so those cables there. See, that's the now there's a potential issue. Now those cables, I could just daisy chain or string across to that side bit, but that is going to look a little bit on the ugly side. I don't think I can pull them across enough to not make it look ugly. I would like the wires to be hidden, so I am going to actually end up using the extensions, although it is very, very, very close. That one, yeah, they would be just stretching across, which is a real shame. All it needed was another couple of millimeters, and I don't know. Shall I try it? Shall I try it? I'll try it with the PWM. That'll be the easiest one to try. And it's a bit of a stretch. What the hell's that? That's better. So it is kind of doable, I think. That one on the side is going to look a bit weird, but I might do it.
Doesn't matter, the case is ugly too.
Thanks, Dutch Jan. Is that Dutch Jan?
Yeah.
I thought it would be. Hurtful bastard.
Right, PSU cables with black connectors, too bad.
I know, I know. The irony is now, if I hadn't a cable tied this cable, it'd be able to be alright. Oh, come on, you dirty bastard. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that isn't too bad. I'll live with that. Dutch Jan, so hurtful. So hurtful. But we have managed to... I just clicked on that.
Oh, sorry, I'm all behind because I had to come out of this screen to go to other screens.
Right, we've rescued some cabling that we don't need anymore. Oh, that's good. Mark Gaines, £20. Thank you very much, Mr. Gaines. Finally, I fixed my Corsair screen glitching problem, and the USB header on the board wasn't providing the right voltage, so connected the screen USB to an internal powered USB hub. No more glitching. Hey, there you go. You'd think that... Actually, yeah, that's a very good point, because Corsair, along with a couple of other companies, which I'm not, well, Thermaltake, I suppose, is one of them, a lot of the companies expect that USB power to be at a certain rate, and almost as if like they should have sole access to the USB headers or the power from them. Because not all boards are built equal. And although there is a kind of a ratified specification, because a lot of these headers tend to use USB 2, the USB 2 standards are a little bit more flexible than USB 3 because the data transfer speeds are slower, so it doesn't have to be quite as stringent. So you can find on some motherboards and also on some setups, the USB 2 headers will give enough data and just enough power to the ports. And it doesn't help as well that they are like very far away from like the power regulators and all that kind of stuff. I guess that would come into it slightly as well. But yeah, I found that on a few things now where the USB, like the amount of comments I get on the Thermaltake videos saying I plugged in my screen and it appears once or doesn't appear, or it says not detected, and just say to them like, just try a different USB connector, or just get a USB adapter and plug it into a USB port on the back of your PC, like a USB 3 port, and see if it works. If it does, it means your USB 2 is not putting out quite enough juice. So yeah, that is something which you'd think that Corsair would be going a little bit further and kind of understanding that that is a thing. Maybe either reducing the power limit, or maybe they can't reduce the power limit. There is a certain place they've got to be, and they're just like, well, it's our product. Your headers should be doing what they should be doing. I don't know. It's a strange one. Amperage probably, says Greg. Could well be. Wattage, amperage, etc. I'm not an electronics expert. David Underhill is actually. He'd probably have a better idea. Okay, so this is going to go somewhere like that. which is all very nice. That is good, we like that. And I'm trying to think now, how many more RGB devices have we got and how many headers have we got? Because I don't really want to add any more to the daisy chain at the top, because we've already got the 3 fans on there. I don't want to add any more to the daisy chain for the fans because there's 4 on there already, but yet I've still got another RGB device, which is the pump head. So how many more headers have I got? So at the bottom, there's another 2 headers. So I can have one for the fans, I can have one for the AIO, which should be fine. So where am I going to plug in the fans, being that the AIO, being that the RGB is going to be at the bottom, it would make sense to plug in the fans at the bottom. Unfortunately, very nearby, it would appear that there is a fan header at the bottom of the chassis, so we could use that one. There's also one on this side. I think the fan, actually saying that, this is Davey. Oh, there you go. A slight problem that we might have here is the radiator fan is plugged into CPU optional. Now, is that going to cause me a problem if there isn't a connector on the CPU main header and I only use CPU optional? Because the CPU connection is actually further in to here, whereas I'm currently plugged in here in CPU optional because of trying to make use of that shorter cable. So do I now revert back to putting the extensions on just so I can run the cables out the back and then back through? I think I'm going to have to. Which is a shame, because it means more bloody cables. But that might make it easier for me to connect up the RGB for the head. Then I can have 4 devices on that channel and I got 4 devices on the other channel, which then still leaves me 1 free header. So if whoever buys this wants to add some RGB at a later date, they can do pretty easily. So yes, I think that is what we are going to do. So although it was a great idea and it nearly worked so well, I don't want to get this all in and cable managed and for it not to work. But I will, for the sake of testing purposes, I will actually try it on both headers and see if it flags any sort of warnings. I know you can go into the BIOS and actually change the settings so it doesn't have like the fan warning, but again, if you're selling a PC to someone, you can't always make sure that they are going to be aware of that. So you don't want the PC not booting because they've updated the BIOS or something and it doesn't detect a fan because you haven't changed the setting. That is, again, things like that you have to, well, you don't have to. You can completely ignore it and just go la la la, it's fine. But those things you should really kind of take into consideration just so you don't get those support calls. Because ultimately, the thing that you want to do if you're selling a PC is you just want it to be a smooth transaction. You don't want to have any kind of any comebacks or anything. You just want it to be done and dusted. So if you can kind of try to minimize any potential disruptions, it's better for you in the long run. If you're keeping it, if it's your own system, then hey, do what you like. It doesn't make any difference. Hopefully that makes some sense. I don't know if it does.
Candy.
Dom. Thank you, Dom. Sent 5 Mics Unboxing reviews and how to gift memberships. Thank you kindly. So Paul Maniyonga, Nathan Gamble, Mart Webb, Cosmic Swag, and Tin Lizdon Gonzale. Wow. You have now got a month's free membership thanks to the legend that is Dom. Thank you, Dom. I don't care what anyone says. I think he's wonderful. And he is Truly is. Right, I'm going to pass through the cable through the side there, and now we've got a little bit of easier access. Oh god. Why can't they start making a new USB connector? Not USB, sorry. Why can't they start making a new connector for RGB? It's such a pain in the ass. Although some would argue, Mike, you're not supposed to put it in your ass. You'd be absolutely right. You shouldn't really put those connectors in your butthole. It's not where God intended those things to go. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, man. I really want to do a really loud fart right now, but I'm not gonna. I might. If I have to stand up in a minute, I might. I do need. Oh, for flipping hell's sake! I think this monitor is failing because whenever I move it, it turns off a bit, and I've been getting some problems with this monitor recently. It's bloody been in service for a good number of years now, isn't it? This monitor, old faithful. Well, it's not very faithful now, is it? Right. So AIO, so CPU fan is at the bottom. It would be, wouldn't it? You scheisse. Scheisse gross. Let's push those cables back out. Not.
What have I come back to? Mike talking about connections and butthole.
Yeah, it's one of those streams again, unfortunately. It's all gone a bit peaked on, but we are currently fully connected, which is fantastic. So, I hate to say it, but I think we're actually ready to put the CPU cooler in. Oh my days. Now this is where it may fall apart a little bit because I often remember, does that go that way? No, that must go that way. Yes. So that goes on like that. So ideally I want the minimal kink for the tubes, which I think is going to go something a little bit like that. Then we can run these cables up through and out the top corner, and everyone will be happy. Well, apart from Dom. No, Dutch Jam. Dutch Jam won't be happy. Hey, there's Rasher coming with a super chat. Thank you very much. You have to wait a minute. Kath's got her hands scratching her bumhole.
Shut up, I'm trying not to shut Otis's balls in the window.
We don't worry about Otis's balls. Thanks, Rasher, for your €20. Much appreciated, sir.
Dave's spinning.
You're a gentleman and a scholar.
See
I started a band called 1023 megabytes. We still haven't got a gig. Ba-boom. So for you nerds out there that don't understand that, it needs an extra 1 megabyte to become a gig.
I've got that if you were talking about me.
Kath knew it. No, I didn't. I wasn't referring to you. Because you are a little bit of a nerd.
Excuse me, Dave.
Right, we need some thermal paste. Bit of thermal putty. And we will be using the legendary Thermaltake TF4.
Actually, no, it's okay.
What's that?
Put my on autopilot and put thanks for the super chat to Dom. But I didn't. I'm right.
Bloody lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you, Rashar. Rashalar. Right, so we'll put some thermal paste on. Again, there's no real method to this. It's just like, I don't know, just put a few dots on there. Just paint it on a bit. TF4 is a great paste actually because it is very thin. So it does spread quite nicely. So if you dot and dab it around a little bit and do a blob in the middle, you should find it's got pretty decent coverage overall. Yeah, you do how you do it. It's fine. Make sure that the bottom is clean. Always pays to have a clean bottom. We'll drop that over on that side. And when I do this, I try to put pressure on this, like laterally. Not literally, laterally. And then try and push it into place, because the more you wibble these around, the worse it's going to be for your thermal paste application. So that is pretty good. Nice. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. At this point, you can just check as well. Make sure that the nibs or nubs are sticking out on each side of there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That one's done. How did I manage that? What I'm going to do as well is, I don't do it I just do it so there's resistance. I don't do it like crank it down. There isn't really much point in doing that.
Crank it down.
Crank it, baby. Dooba. Dooba, baby. Kath's talking Somalian to me. Please make her stop. Right, now, this is the more traumatic part now. To try and route these cables up through that heatsink area and then out through the top. Now, the reason why it's traumatic is because there is actually a rubber grommet kind of in the way now. It would be better if this didn't have a rubber grommet. It would actually make life easier. But hopefully, I can just about poke it in. This will be the one little sperm that could. Yes, that went through. Awesome. So if I pull that through a little bit. Oh, did it go through? Oh, bollocks. It didn't. I'm gonna have to artificially inseminate it. Got it. There we go. Pulled it through. Lovely jubbly. Now, I don't want to put it through too far because I've still got the RGB one to go through, which is going to be an absolute mare. I would have liked for this case to be just a little taller. And actually, there is a XL version of this due out if it's not out already. I think it might be out already. There's been some movements and some changes for Thermaltake recently, which I'm kind of not really at liberty to tell you much about. But yeah, things have been changing internally for Thermaltake recently. And hopefully things will get better. I know that's a little bit cryptic, but all will become apparent eventually. Right, so that is our cables in. I would have liked that to go down a little bit nicer in there. So I'm going to have another little go at that. It's quite cool how these heat sinks make great cable management routes. And don't worry, they don't get hot enough to burn the actual the cables. Or at least they shouldn't do. Just going to poke those into place. That's great. Those should stay in there quite nicely. Don't want them to be too permanent, just in case you do decide at some point you want to change the cooler for another model. But as long as it looks relatively tidy, then it's all good. And we need to bring those cables back out again now to go into the AIO header on there. So let's flip this over and look at our absolute viper's nest of cables. So we have to work out which is which now. So this is our RGB cable for the pump, and that is the pump fan header. And this is all of our existing RGB shenanigans. So we've already decided we're going to try and aim for connection for the fans and the RGB at the bottom. So yeah, that's going to be some fun. And just trying to work out which cable is actually the last one in the chain. I think it's that one. And as far as RGB goes, that's the very bottom fan. I've put this in here, I'm sure I did, but I don't understand quite how I've made such a mess of it. Alright, that is the... Ah, no, that is right. So that is our fan, which is coming off of, bizarrely, that one there. I feel like I really want to rewire this again completely from scratch, but I'm not gonna. So I think what happened here is, yeah, there is like a three-way adapter, which all those plugged into, and then it gives you that end one. So I will actually, at this point, plug in the last of the fans, which was at the top. Took me a little moment there to work out what was going on, but yeah, there is an extra cable there. So there was like a 4-into-1 adapter. So that goes into there, and then that leaves you with just one plug to go into the bottom of the motherboard. So I'm going to pass that underneath, because that's where that needs to go. And then I'm going to do the same with the RGB, because that also needs to go underneath and plug in under there. So I'm chuckle that through there. That's good. Know where that's all going. The power supply is going to be around this area, so I want to try and kind of move it over this way slightly, but either way is fine. So that leaves us with the RGB for the top, which I'm going to daisy chain into, I believe it's this connection here. So let's plug that into there. Oh no, that's the wrong end.
Free speech is in, we didn't get a notification again.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. It's so disappointing when that shit happens. Like, don't get me started, really, because I get pissed off with YouTube. The fact that, because it happens to me as well, I subscribe to channels and I don't get a notification when that channel goes live, which I don't understand, because the whole point of subscribing to a channel and choosing like all notifications is the fact that you should get all notifications. So if a channel goes live, great, you get a notification, you can watch the video. But I don't know why, that I just don't get that. And it should be like my option. So if I subscribe to a channel, you just tell me when they go live. You don't tell me what I should be watching or make a decision on my viewing habits, because that's my job. I've decided that I want to subscribe to a channel and I want to get notifications for all video releases, but I don't. So why would that be? I just don't understand. I know they're trying to promote channels that they want to promote. That is clearly like obvious. But it just seems like why go through the bother of subscribing to a channel so that you get notifications, especially channels that go live frequently. So why bother if they're not going to send you the damn notifications? You might as well not bother subscribing, had you? And just trying to keep a mental kind of check yourself of when videos are meant to go live. Sorry, I am ranting a little bit. It is frustrating though, isn't it? Like, when did YouTube become their tube? Because it's definitely happened somewhere along the line. And it is a bit frustrating. And I'm sure it must be frustrating for like all creators. Well, at least the ones that aren't getting pushed into the your subscription feeds. Because I know for a fact, if I go onto my computer and go to youtube.com/subscriptions, which is where I generally tend to go and I set my home pages at, for YouTube. So I only want to watch my people that I'm subscribed to. I've got no interest in watching other videos unless they come up as a suggestion after I've watched one of my one of the channels I'm subscribed to. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I think it should be. So like you watch a video, if there's a video which is related on that content or that could be interesting to you, then sure, yeah, show me that as an option, and also show me other people that I'm subscribed to in the what to watch next video or the autoplay. But they don't do that, and I don't really understand why. It's just like they always seem to push you like, oh yes. In fact, I'll do it in a minute. I'll go to my YouTube subscription feed, and I would wager 100% there will be somebody in that list which I'm not subscribed to. So why send me that? I don't want to see that. I want to see my subscription feed. That's why I clicked on subscriptions. It's nuts. Dave O'Neill says, when did YouTube become their tube? When they bought it. Yeah, that's true. Free Speech is Dead says, ditto, I used to get noticed that it was about to start. That stopped a while back. It isn't bollocks. It's really annoying. Dutch Jan says, I have notifications turned on. Never had one. See, even for me, like, I'm obviously, this is the channel. And even I don't always get notifications that I've gone live, which is... oh dear. It's kind of bizarre, isn't it? Really, if you think about it. Like, you'd think that, like, if it's your own channel, you should really get a notification to your own email that you've actually gone live on your channel. It's very strange. Very strange indeed. Right, so I need some power cables, and I was going to just run one power cable to it and pigtail it, but I've got multiples in here, so I might as well do that and put them both in. It's a shame that I haven't got two. Oh, that's a CPU one. I don't need that one, so I've already done that one. PCIe. Yeah, both of the PCIe ones on this one have got pigtails, which is annoying. I really wish I could make my own power supply connections. I'm sure it's a thing that can be done. I'm sure I've seen a letter say that she makes her own. Like, make up your own PSU cables. That's a pretty cool thing to do. Make up exactly the cables you want and let them go exactly where you need them to go. Unlike your YouTube subscription. Bastards. Dutch Jan says, it might also be because I have history turned off. Letter says, YouTube has unsubscribed channels I like and replaced them with ones I've never heard of. See, I'm not entirely sure that I've seen that happen. I have heard of people saying it, that they've been subscribed to a channel and somehow they've been unsubscribed to it. Now, I've always, I'm not saying this is the case, but I'm often considering the fact that because we live in a mobile environment and a desktop environment, that it could be reasonably easy to accidentally unsub someone without really knowing it. Because I don't think it actually asks you, does it? Are you sure you want to unsub? I think it just does it and assumes that, like, you've made that decision and that is the decision you want to do. I can't remember, because I can't remember unsubbing to anybody recently. Someone let me know in the chat. I really don't know. Is that now a thing? Bag of cables. Now, this is an interesting one. GPU screws. Because this has got busted out panels, the screws aren't in there as a default. So I don't know whether they're supposed to be thin or coarse threaded screws. So I'm going to try with a fine one first. I don't think it should be a fine screw, but we'll give it a go. David Thompson says, I also see videos in my history that I have never clicked on or watched. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like, that's kind of dangerous, really, isn't it? This might actually be... Yeah, it's the fine screws. How bizarre. This case, like, blows my mind all the time with the amount of things that they've done right, but also the amount of things that they've done weirdly or wrong. I do quite like it though. Oh, that don't want to go in though. It's not quite lining up as well as I'd like it to. And because it's one of those cases, you need like 17 hands. It was just ever so slightly off. There we go. Yeah, YouTube is a really, really funny beast. It's quite amusing at the moment. Like, obviously, at the moment, there is a lot of things going on in the world, which most of us are kind of aware of. And Google, being one of the kind of forerunners in the AI world, clearly they understand what is going on in terms of the PC economy, the RAM shortages, the price increases, etc. So it's not a million miles away from their core business. So when you go into your YouTube stats and it says your videos are not performing as well as they have done, there could be a few reasons for this. And it says underneath the reason, it says clicks from external sites are down 35%. And then it says on another thing, watch time from something else or other is also down about 30%. And these are links from like other external forces or factors like websites, that kind of stuff. And the views are down. We were in around about the sort of 80,000 videos, watches, 800,000 views a month, give or take. Sometimes it went down to like 700, 650 sometimes. At the moment, it's down to, I think it's about 500,000. So it's down about a third. So the 30% thing kind of makes complete sense. But I say there's many reasons why this could be, including people interested in other content or whatever. No thing on there to say, oh, by the way, OpenAI have bought up all of the RAM and basically screwed the economy. So basically no one's interested because they can't buy anything anymore. So they, rather than say that, which is like basically the truth, like I understand, yeah, the economy is going down the toilet rapidly. Everything's getting more expensive. And now to make things worse, there's like lack of availability and things that are available are just wildly overpriced. So why would they not just say that? Say, your views are getting less views, your videos are getting less views at the moment due to an overall lack of interest in the technology arena. That means I could sleep at night going, oh great, I haven't done anything wrong, it's just the way the world is at the moment. But no, they word it in such a way as that, well, maybe you could try changing your content, or maybe you could try doing this. It's like, no, the content isn't the problem. The problem is the world's changing at the moment. It's a different place to be. And yeah, it's just, sorry, I'm ranting again. But I know in my heart of hearts that I'm not doing anything inherently wrong. We're still making the same sort of content. We're still doing similar sort of stuff. I'm still dropping screws all over the floor that I cannot actually find and have disappeared into the abyss that will no doubt rattle around the vacuum cleaner tomorrow morning. Anyway, there you go. But yeah, we're doing the same thing. You could argue we're releasing less videos. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Obviously, mostly related to what I've just talked about. The fact that there isn't a lot of availability and most of the stuff people just aren't interested in at all. So it's kind of like, well, is there any point making content about stuff that people aren't interested in? I don't want to make the content where it's just like the fear porn or the like, I hate all these videos that are going on at the moment, especially the ones like, oh, Windows is losing the control panel. It's like, well, it's not, is it? They've been saying that for the last 10 years and it's never happened and it probably won't at all. But it's just like that click farming stuff which is going on at the moment, which Google weirdly tried to do for you. They try to promote that sort of stuff, but I don't know, I don't think it adds any value. Like, yeah, if you've had a few beers and you just want to be like numbed in the brain, then yeah, it's fine. And I hate those videos where they say like, oh, coming soon, AMD with their 10,000 series, the specs are off the chart. Until you've seen one or there's actual announcement, it's complete speculation. So just zip it. Dutch Jan. It's like saying that I bought everything, so it's my fault. Yeah.
He's still got Google, isn't he?
Yeah. And YouTube premium prices have increased in the USA. Actually, that's another reason why views are down, because YouTube's insane amount of ads and the unskipples. I use Brave more and more, especially if it's long form content. I will use Brave because it's just so disjointing to be watching something, a longer video, and to be kind of getting engrossed into it, and then like an advert come on for bloody Pepto-Bismol, which then completely ruins my track of thought, and then all I can think about is possibly shitting myself or puking or having a stomachache. It's like, I don't really want to be thinking about those things. I want to be concentrating on the video that I'm watching.
And like, I put things on to
Buttheads.
listen to when I'm cutting the cat's meat, and I can't skip the ads because my hands are covered in raw meat juice.
I think the adverts are getting way out of hand.
But they know that, don't they?
Oh, they're absolutely 100%
It's just
loving it.
Pay for it.
And the thing is, there's like the tech savvy community, which kind of I include us all in,
Not me.
who we can work our way around certain elements of it. But for a lot of people, it must be so frustrating that they just don't bother or get fed up and just say, oh, sod it. And I hate going to watch a video, especially where I'm trying to learn something. And I go to the video and I'm trying to learn something and it breaks off with an advert. It's like, this is really not helping.
And then it puts an advert on.
Yeah, if you type in
It probably does it on yours.
command space / blah blah blah, then all of a sudden it starts playing an advert. It's like, you bastard, stop it. I'm trying to follow this along. Or like if you're maybe trying to change a wheel or a tire or something, and then suddenly all these weird adverts come in.
Yeah,
Power supply, top power, GF A3 Snow 1050 watt. I know, complete and utter overkill for this build. I know, I understand. It's just, it's kind of what I got. I can't really use what I haven't got, and I haven't got any more really cost-effective power supplies. So at least with this, I know that whoever ends up with the computer is going to have an absolutely cracking power supply and never need to worry about anything again, which is nice. CPU 24 pin, there we go. So yeah, oh yeah, I think it's fine. If I knew how to plug things in, I'd be great at this. Where are we going? Oh yeah. These cables have yellowed a bit.
So when you watch on Brave, are you still logged in?
Yeah. Yeah, Brave is excellent for watching YouTube. It really is. The interface, yeah. Oh, Amazon Prime. Watching Amazon Prime on Brave is game changing. Absolute game changer.
I can't believe you're paying like best part of £100 a year for Amazon, and you've still got to put all those adverts.
I know. Yeah. As much as I may dislike or agree or disagree with the kind of the aspects of the Brave organization, etc., for watching content, Brave is amazing. And if you don't want to have your content that you're watching littered with adverts, then yeah, Brave's awesome.
Blockers on and stuff. They must know.
Oh, of course they do, yeah.
And if that was your business, you would adapt with it, wouldn't you? Wouldn't put more on.
Well, no, the thing is, I'm pretty sure the way that YouTube and Google work is the fact that they just keep on, it's like the frog in a hot tin plate, isn't it? They just gradually keep on increasing the temperature until you cannot do it anymore. And at which point, oh, piss. Oh, These aren't long enough. Oh, what an absolute ball bag. The cables we need to plug in there, and I don't think I've got quite enough length on there.
It's always your problem, Bab.
I've always had problems with the length. Fuck's sake. Right.
No adverts on Edge either.
Is there not? I find that very hard to believe, but I don't use Edge, so... Or I've rarely used Edge. Dear. Right. Oh, God. This is getting heavier. Right, let's go back to the main camera. So, the problem we've got here is the cables actually aren't long enough.
Yeah, I touched on that as me. If I'm watching something and an ad comes up, I know for sure that I won't buy that item.
Yeah, I can quite happily say that almost all the ads that I've watched on YouTube, there's very few that I've actually watched the whole ad or that it potentially has influenced my purchasing decision. It's very rare. And
in fact, it'd put me off ever buying it.
I wouldn't go as far to say as it would put me off, but it's like there's a time and a place, isn't there, for everything. And whilst I'm trying to consume content, for me, isn't the time or the place.
At the beginning of a video or at the end.
Yeah.
It's just that whole interruption thing.
Yeah, at the beginning of the, like if they said there's like a 60-second minute video of advert.
60-second minute, that's what it usually works.
There's some 60-second minutes coming up and you've got to watch them. If there's some 60-second adverts that you have to watch before you start every video, or most videos, I'd be like, okay, fair enough. Because I'm kind of geared up and I'm ready for that to happen. It's a thing. But if they turn around and said that they're going to do that all the time, or they're going to randomly do that as you're watching the video, and also possibly unskippable ones, it's like, no, you're just getting this very, very wrong. Like, I understand it's a free service, allegedly. But it's, I think YouTube are making the YouTube viewing experience, they're making it worse. But they're in a very good position that there really isn't any, like, there isn't really any competition for Google, is there? Or for YouTube as a whole. Like, there's lots of other potential options out there, but all of them generally tend to come with some kind of drawback or just something about them which is not great.
I didn't mind Odyssey, to be fair.
Yeah, Odyssey was alright.
Search engine's not as good, but...
Right, that now reaches, that looks horrible. Does that look horrible? Viali says, don't you have some PCIe adapters? Jamie says, gotta love those 60-second minutes. Hey, they're the best. If you're gonna have some minutes, have 60-second ones. Because if you don't, it's just like, don't bother. You gotta be in with those 60-second minutes. Yeah, that looks awful.
Yes, that's Jan says. Not as bad as the rest of the wiring. David Underhill says.
Oh, you're old bastards. I hate you all.
Wouldn't they look better in black cables?
Maybe. But I don't have a black power supply either. Well, I do, but...
Rick H says, no, looks good to me.
Thanks, Rick. Rick's a team player. That does look awful. How can I make that look less shit?
They look all chewed up at the end as well. They look all... When they go into the graphics guide to me.
Right, I need to bend that over to there. Right, this could work. It's not going to look great. Get someone else to wire it up. Thanks. Get someone else to wire it up. You are so hurtful tonight. Actually, I don't know what I'm saying tonight. You're always hurtful. I don't mind. I understand where you're coming from. Where did I put the cable ties? Did anyone see? No.
Probably chucked them in that box behind you.
I thought I threw them in there.
That box, I meant.
Oh, yeah. No, not in there. Ah, there they are. They're the other side of the computings. Ah, dear. This has been traumatic. It really has.
8:07 AM, not night here, David Underhill.
Ah. I see. Right, let's see if I can bend this a little bit. And make it look slightly less shit. God, I just don't want to bend. This isn't going to improve things very much. Actually, we might be on to a winner here, Michael, my son. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Oh, dear. What could possibly go wrong.com?
They're the same both ends.
No.
They look better if you put that black bit at the back.
There. That is proportionally nicer. How did I do that?
I've got a Specsavers.
That's Jan?
No, that's me.
Oh, fuck off.
I thought you were taking it well. I usually get really angry if I just say anything horrible.
Kath's a really supporting wife. Sometimes.
Dutch Jan, I don't see any new videos on Rumble. Is that chapter closed? It's kind
Yes, blame Kath.
It's kind of... I haven't got enough hours in the day to do everything.
There's a really interesting program on called Virgin River or something. Is it Virgin River?
It's not really that interesting. I'm not even that into it. It's a bit boring.
Yeah, Kath's found a new TV show. And she likes watching that.
I don't watch it during the day, but I've got to do the garden.
Yeah. Rumble will continue, but not entirely sure when or what the actual frequency will be. There.
So when Mike runs out of room, he tells me to move them
Well,
on.
I need to clear my NAS because I've got very little room on there now, so it is getting to the point where I have to... there you go. Kath's going to make it a priority. The thing is, Rumble, although it's quite a nice platform to upload to, in some respects, it doesn't get the views. I know it shouldn't be about the views, but ultimately, like, things have to be made worthwhile to do.
Has Dutch Jan got Odyssey?
Odyssey has got an auto syndication,
So it
which
automatically
doesn't
goes there.
always work, but more times than not it will.
It does always work.
I looked the other day and it was about 4 videos out, but it may have been waiting for the upload cycle, I don't know. I think it's done. Oh, I know I didn't do. I didn't screw up the radiator. Not properly, anyway. Anyway, how's everybody's week been? I would start talking about YouTube earnings, but that's very depressing. Hence why I'm building PCs to sell. I didn't used to do this hardly ever. And I still got to do my tax return.
But then you can't do it until you get your P60 from your work.
You screwed up the rest of the build.
Can I paste the Odyssey link in the thing?
Yeah, I got it on here.
Oh, I just searched it all up.
That's Jan. Shit, still at home with my knee, week 11. Blimey. Oh, sorry dear, that's Sky, that you're sick as well. Oh yeah, Sky. Oh, so Virgin River's filmed in filmed locally in Vancouver. Because it's supposed to be set in Northern California, isn't it?
No, that was bloody Animal Kingdom.
No, but isn't Virgin River supposed to be set in Northern California as well?
I don't think so.
I think it is. Have a look. Right, I'm going to get a power lead and see if this thing actually fires up.
It seems very cold there. California's quite hot, isn't it?
No, because they got mountains in California, haven't they? They go skiing and stuff. They get snow. California's a weird climate, if I'm right in thinking. Right, let's see if this bastard works. I'm going to have to go and find a cable again. Otis! Don't be scared. It's okay. Hey, Maisie. Hey, O'Tools. O'Tools. When you talk to Otis, you've got to talk to him with a lisp. He likes that. You'll go, Otis. So I'm just adjusting my blinds in the front room. Bye, Otis. Bye, Dave. Bye, Maisie. See you in a bit. Oh, fuck. Ow.
What was that?
Just walked into that case in the bloody hallway. Get ready, Kath, with the bangs. Please don't bang. Don't think my delicate nature could cope today. Ow, my wrist is hurting. Oh, for fuck's sake. Just finished the 100 on Prime. Oh, got my wrist in now. Ow. Pain. Right, let's turn it to off position. Oh, I hate that noise. And turn it on. Let's get the lid on. Let's go. Yeah.
Bang!
Oh, fucking hell. Why would you do it then?
You wouldn't expect it.
Good looking white build, Mike, says Sky Stalker. Thank you, Sky. I appreciate that. I think it doesn't look too bad, does it? The power supply, I'm gonna have to fix that at some point, but let's see if it actually works. I don't remember connecting up the front panel I/O. And there it is at the bottom of the case.
Testing if anyone noticed.
No one said anything. See, that's what happens when you're not paying attention. Where does that go? Oh, I should have done that before I put the graphics card in. Let's lean it over. So front panel I/O is with that pin at the bottom. So that is going to be the new top. Oh, dear Lord. Yeah, that's wrong, isn't it? Front panel should be that way round. Sorry, I am talking to myself a little bit here. It is the first sign of madness.
Turn it off too, because you've got the motherboard light on.
Oh yeah. I must have done something right. And the fans aren't working. And those aren't lighting up. I plugged those in, I'm sure. Why is nothing spinning? And why is nothing RGBing?
Graphics card and motherboard out. That power supply actually.
Okay, what have I not done here? Which part of my mega wiring have I not megaed? That's really confusing.
Arced in YouTube did it. I bet I pulled out those cables after you put them in.
But that fan is daisy chained to those, so how can they not light up?
Blame CPU bent pins, lol.
Yeah. We've got a white LED, which is a good sign. That means there's no monitor discovered. But why have we got nothing at all from the fans? That makes no sense. Like, well, the ones on the top are working. And that one at the back is working. Which means either I've done the daisy chain in the wrong position. Why is that not spinning? Oh, for God's sakes.
Not plugged in mic.
That is actually a fan header, isn't it? Yes. Hey! There we go. I didn't have the fans plugged in properly. One problem rectified. Right, let's have a think about this RGB stuff. So RGB is going to there. Right. Kevir. Where's the other end go to? So that goes to there. That goes to there. Oh. What's that touching? I don't get it. What's going on?
Baby.
Sounds like an electrical thing. So something is clearly not right. Right, so that fan at the back and those there were supposed to be part of the connection at the bottom here, weren't they? So if I unplug that, yes, that light goes out. So that is correct. So that is on. Okay. These fans are making some weird noises. So let's see where the RGB wires go. If indeed they do. Oh, I hate RGB. It's my favorite thing. There must be some sort of feedback somewhere. I'm going to untie all the wires. Or unplug stuff. Please tell me these fans aren't foo card.
Those fans aren't too far.
Thank you. Right, where is that fan going to? How much is that fanny in the window? The one with the waggly tail.
Lord Aractus, I love you singing that.
Right, so saying that top fan was making noise. But why is it making noise? What is going on? Silence. Can you hear it? Why would you be knackered? Is it too tight in there? Does it fits nice and tight? Oh, if that's going to be a faulty fan, that's going to be really upsetting. Ow! Oh dear. Right, that works okay now. I'm going to plug it into a different connector and see if the actual noise continues or moves. It shouldn't. Oh, you absolute bastard. Gets to a certain speed and it starts making that horrible noise. I don't know if you can hear it. You probably can. But I still don't understand why the RGB isn't lighting up. So that comes from there. So I'm just going to plug that into a separate header and see if it lights up. If it does, I'll say that's fine as well. I don't think I've ever had as many problems as this. Or have I? You get to a point in this and you don't want to actually give up. Oh, fuck. There's too many fans down here. Oh, come on. Right. We have one RGB fan. So, where's the other cables go to? So that is 1, 1, 1. So let's go to there. They are, I'm sure these are daisy chained already to some, no, they're not. Where's that one go? Looks like it's some way along this line they've become disconnected. Some way when I've been fecking around. Oh, this is just madness. I need to unplug all of this and start again.
Should we do it for next week's stream?
On next week's stream, how Mike gets back from the mental hospital. Yay, that's the badger. Yeah, one of my daisy chained cables wasn't daisy chained. Okay. Now, I've got a feeling the fan is sounding better. I've got a suspicion that these fans are DC fans, technically. And I would almost 100% put it that the header is set to PWM rather than DC. So that could potentially cause a problem. So I'm going to plug in a monitor. Well, I'm not going to plug in a monitor. I'm going to attach a cable to the screen. And we'll see, first of all, actually if it booted, which I think it did. And also, I'll just make a quick change in the BIOS to see if we can rectify the fan problem. Or I'm going to have to end up taking all these fans out and putting some new ones in, which would be great. That feels a bit loose. That feels less loose. And let's get a USB keyboard. Burp, burp. That noise is going a bit now. But going a bit isn't the same as gone. So let's see what we've got on our HDMI input. And currently we have next to echo. So let's do a quick restart. And hopefully with any luck we will get a video signal. If I've plugged it into the right port, which I think I have. HDMI 3. Coming HDMI 3, yeah, there we go. Hey! It works. So press Y. And we better try and go into the BIOS. What a night. Verge build 2.0. Thank you. Please enter new CPU installed. Yeah, blah blah blah. F1. Right, all these settings are going to be wrong, so ignore those, but let's go into Q fan control, and I don't know which one it is actually. Right. Something just got faster, but I don't know where. Huh? Okay, I'm confused now. Which fans have just got faster? The top ones. Right, I'm confused. Oh, I'm using the wrong keyboard and mouse. DC mode. Oh, I'm in CPU fan, aren't I? That's why. That's better. So fan 4. We'll go for manual. And are they stopping? No. So we'll say it's fan 3 then. Are they getting slower? No. So it must be fan 4 then. Okay, so it's not fan number 4. Is that going to change? I'm really confused. Let's escape. Oh, chassis fan 1. It had to be one of those, didn't it? So, chassis fan 1. Auto detect. DC mode. And manual. Ta-da! Silence. No more buzzing. So yes, excrement. That has fixed our problem. So setting the fans to DC mode. Yes, they are going slower. I will ramp them back up just to prove that they are... Well, maybe it is a speed thing. It is getting louder. We may have a dead fan. That is massively unfortunate. I can't see there's anything stuck in there or anything rattling on it. The others are absolutely fine. That top one does appear to have a significant problem. All the things is give it a bit, it will figure itself out. It might do. I may have to set fire to it though. Let's go back to silent. It sounds fine, but I will change it. Anyway, I think we've got to the point where we can see the PC actually works. Obviously the CPU is functional. Everything is working. We've got an output. Everything's detected. All the RGB is working. All the fans are sort of working. They're spinning at the very least. And yeah, it doesn't look too bad. What I might potentially do, I have got some CT120s, which I don't know if you can see actually, up behind me. If we go back to the main camera. So I've got some CT120s up there, and I've also got some CT120EX reverse and traditional airflow. So I could potentially put those in there just to remedy this. But it does seem like a lot of pain and anguish to go through for this. I may potentially just buy some new Thermaltake cheapo reverse blade fans. If I can find some on Amazon, I may well do that. Just get some like 15 quid or whatever, because those fans are about 50 quid a pack, whereas these obviously are cheapies. So hopefully I can remedy it. I might leave it running. I'll do some installs and stuff and see what's doing. Good marketing slogan, Mike's sort of working PCs. Sam Ram says, I can't believe DC fans were used in this case. Well, the thing is, the DC fans are absolutely fine, really. It's just a shame that one of them appears to have developed a fault. Whether that was down to me mishandling it or what, I don't know. I didn't notice it when I reviewed the case, and it was only, I think the case review only went out about 3 weeks ago. So it's just been in the loft since then. We have had a few cold snaps, but it seems to be getting better. But no, there's definitely a buzz. Sarah says, you're selling this PC, so why waste money? Well, the thing is, a lot of the stuff was sent as review samples, so technically it doesn't owe me anything. So if I have to buy some fans to replace those, yes, it probably is the more sensible thing to do. But if I've got other fans on hand which will do the job, and they didn't cost me anything, I could use those, and it might actually eliminate some of the wiring in the back. But anyway. Bit of homework for those of you still watching, if you've got this far, is do a PC part picker and see how much this thing is actually going to be worth and how much I should sell it for. So feel free to leave that in the comments section. After the video has finished, you can put your comments in there, depending on whether you're in the UK, US, whatever. Make sure you say where you are, because I won't know how to convert that into UK pounds. But I think that is going to pretty much wrap this one up. We've gone way over time, unfortunately. My apologies to those of you that have been hanging on. It's all good for
me for getting up early.
And to Kath, you've got to get up early tomorrow. So
you had to get up for work.
I know. Yes, I think it is. Yeah, I think we are done. Thank you all so much for your contributions and your kind donations. They are much appreciated. Kath's giving a little calf clap there.
Clap. That's a bit of a tongue twister.
A calf clap, yeah.
Strix.
I wish I could spend longer and go through this and kind of title down, get it all installed, but time really has got the better of us tonight, unfortunately. So thank you all for joining us. If you haven't already, leave a like. If you haven't already, for some reason, make sure you're subscribed and click on all notifications. You never know, YouTube might at some point send you at least one notification.
Aren't you going to rant about them for another hour?
No, I'm not going to rant about them again. I think that is enough. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you on Monday morning for a brand new video. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.